Which one do you use?
Just for interest, in the context of each
No, at the moment, I was using F movie. But Vali.
Yeah, but
so now I'm using Look movie to you. Look movie to you or something.
You know all the vibes.
No, and you're near kitchen or 4K.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, my son also showed me one for anime, man. What is it?
Very borderline legit.
Fucking, he made me pay for it, dude. I paid like 89 Rand for this fucking app on the TV, but it's got like every anime from Tsubasa till now, you know? What is it called now? Anyway. HD, like proper, you know? Because if movies was coming with that cam shit, you know?
Somebody sitting in a cinema recording.
Yeah, this is the only branding I have, but it's a local brand. Nobody knows this. It's just some young.
No, I mean, I don't care about brands.
Ostentious, yeah. Some lighty from the south, Tate and Diagrela. You know these South boys.
South way.
I took no south, like from fucking Personia. You know the booties. He caught me at Cent, and then I said, "Yeah, give me one for my son." Then I took it for Ethan.
Yeah, she's though.
Yeah, she's Seed. But you can feel, you know, like I was saying to these guys, because I want to make merch, and I was saying to them that, like me, now, if I have to make merch, the cost price of the merch will probably be like, for a shirt like this, like 400 Rand. Because I want the stuff that Balenciaga and them have, you know, like where there's no artificial, there's no polyesters and nylons, and that's the stuff that makes you sweat. And if you wear this and you sweat like you'd wear to a festival, you start smelling, not because you smell. You'll take the shirt off and be like, you'll be fine. The shirt is fucked. It reacts badly with body odor.
We're recording.
Yep.
Oh, just so Warras is away before he starts dropping some other.
Before I drop some F-bombs and R-bombs.
Nothing wrong with the F-bombs. Carry on with polyester?
Yes, I'm saying, so if one has to look at like what the t-shirts and stuff are comprised of, I feel like if you really wanted to do what it is you want to do, the cost just becomes obviously ridiculous. But fucking why not? Like if you can spend, if you've got the money and you say, you know what, I want that fucking Balenciaga level shit, I'm going to buy that. And that's the stuff that I'm going to give away, you know, instead of, well, not give away, but like give away, sell, whatever the options may be. And then this boy, like the way that he explained it, he was like, look, I tried to go for the highest quality spec that I could.
Sure.
But then what do people do? They look at you and they say, skipper's got Penuel. Why must I pay 850 for his skipper's got Penuel? When in actual fact, his skipper's got Penuel is worth 850. You know what I mean? You would have paid 2 grand if it was Balenciaga. I think that time when Rich Mnisi released his pricing, remember, and people were giving him shit. And he was like, fuck you guys. The stuff that I've put into my product is on the same level as that shit that you're paying 5K for. So why is it, or 20K for, and when I'm charging you 10, you are crying. You know what I mean?
Have you thought of doing a clothing line?
Me, myself? Nah, dog.
Have you ever sold t-shirts?
Never sold t-shirts.
You know, it's one of the biggest struggles because I've been selling t-shirts since varsity, and I've always had a wish of having a plug of good quality tees, and I've always struggled because the quality is not great. If they're black, they turn brown.
Yeah, they just color.
They start smelling, even if you're not smelling.
Yes. I remember when Ricky remember the Seed Lukotini Killers t-shirts, right? If you were lucky enough to have one of those shirts, the people I think that got them then probably still have them now. Because he didn't skimp on the quality. Like he wanted to
I've got one of those.
Yes, that's Seed Lukotini Killers one. The first one. You remember it had the Death Row Records logo at the back.
There's a
not Lay Cotton Fest. Kona Lay Cotton Fest. That was just like a free, cheap one.
I think we got that. He sponsored our touch rugby team.
Right. Yabo. Then he had the Seed Lukotini Killers one. It was like like a PR package that he was sending out to people to say, here's a t-shirt and your parcel, come to my event type of thing. Dog, that t-shirt was like superior quality, you know? And that's where I first gotten onto that idea to say, actually, why not provide a t-shirt that even though you're giving it away for free, because it relates to your brand and who you are, you can't be giving away a skipper that will end up being a rag.
Of course.
You understand what I'm saying? How fun would people get you a skipper and then balala ngayo ngathi skipper se ANC. Ufuna ukuthi umuntu that owns that shirt, when they wear it out. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, this is one of the dopest shirts I have.
That's if that's your brand.
That's if that's your brand, yeah. And that was a fucking dope shirt. It had the Death Row Records. Remember the guy sitting in the electric chair?
Sure.
Death Row Records.
Sure.
He had Sid Lukotini, Killers. Timeless shit.
I don't understand. I don't know if you know why Ricky Rick was so highly celebrated and respected. I know he cared a lot about investing in up-and-coming talent. He almost tried to feature on every kid that's like on the come up. But the way people speak about him, I don't know if you know.
I do. He was my friend. He was my very good friend. But I don't know. What do you mean? You don't know if I know? What is the question?
Why he was so highly respected in the industry? Because in my opinion, I could be wrong. I wouldn't say it's the music. Like AKA. I think it was something else.
Yes. I think it would be a difficult question for me to answer because I would be biased in that he was my friend.
The bias. We need the bias.
Yeah. So because
Sure.
It's like I know him personally on a level where I can attest to his character. You understand? Whereas someone mhlampe, who's looking for guidance or he's influenced by what he's doing, when that person is then in his presence or in his company, the way that they receive him will be very different. And I can't say that I have on the record testimony of anybody who can say, you know what, when I was coming up, I met Ricky and then he did this for me. And for me, I saw him as umuntu okanje. But for me, as umngani wakhe, what I can attest to is his character. I mean, I'll obviously have to cite examples that were in the public. But I mean, do you remember when the Mabala Noise debacle happened?
The buying of awards.
Correct. And he went on stage. And the speech that he gave was very much like, not in so many words, but he was like, kind of like, fuck this shit. Sure. This thing doesn't really mean anything if it's been bought type of thing. And the insinuation that he made led to him parting ways with Mabala Noise very publicly. That car that, you remember Mabala Noise was giving people cars and big checks and shit like that. Yeah. They took their car. You understand? Because now it's like, we're no longer friends now. Give back my car. Another person, especially in the industry that he was in, money comes first, status comes first, always. How I look to everyone comes first. That was not Ricky. He didn't give a fuck. He was not trying to copy the next person. He did his thing, whether it was the music he made, the clothing he wanted to wear, or the people with whom he wanted to associate. He was unapologetic in that regard, where, like from a character perspective, unassailable. As a man, as a dude, like if you were fortunate enough to speak to him, a lot of the stuff you and I have spoken about, that call it like things that started happening in the last year. That nigga was talking about those things in 2016. He had this thing, remember when he spoke about the internet? He was saying, stop relying on radio and TV. You know how artists...
Way before it became a thing.
Way before it became a thing. He was saying the internet is your friend. Go there. You understand what I'm saying? That's where you publish your stuff. We've discussed this before in terms of how podcasts and why this space is the future, as opposed to all of us fighting for the same 22 jobs at Metro FM, where people stay for 2 decades. You're not going to get them. Which means, Goodwena, you're going to put your dreams on hold of being a broadcaster, having a platform, having important conversations, because there isn't a broadcast platform that's willing to give you a job. Sure. Ricky was on the internet, go that way. Yeah. He was a lot in the culture of Brahm. I think he was instrumental in the come up of that culture, from the Poison Bucks days to, when Brahm was banging. I haven't been to Brahm for long, but the last time I was there, the people that seemed to be the oaks on the street, like I'm talking about the people who want to be famous, who are doing something in entertainment that you find just walking around there are the Kwelas. The Kwela. That culture is inspired in some way from the Ricky era.
Sure.
Because he was the one that was talking about things like yabo impahla, yabo the way ugqoka ngakhona, and how you combine the fashion elements that he would combine. And he got international attention for the looks that he curated and put together on himself. He wasn't like Pharrell is like a fashion icon and he's designing for Louis Vuitton, or he is the fashion guy for this and that show. Ricky was the fashion guy for Ricky. And he published the shit that he put together on his own personal page. And that shit, that school uniform Gucci thing that he was wearing, remember, that shit went like international,
Not the thing with the thing that was covering his head.
The beekeeper, you understand, that beekeeper thing.
Yeah.
People were copying it. Checkers. Like stuff like that, dog. That, in my opinion, that shit is iconic. But as I say, it's also like I'm viewing it from a lens of his friend.
Sure.
Maybe kunomunye umuntu that was looking at that beekeeper outfit and thought, what the fuck is this? And then they copied it with plastic checkers.
Sure.
I was looking at it from like a point of view of knowing the man and knowing that he's like our Kanye. He's the guy that we expect to do that thing. And when he does it, you might not understand it at the time when he says these things or does these things. Yeah. But now with the passage of time and the gift of hindsight, we're like, fucking hell, that guy was a fucking genius. And we miss him because I certainly miss him, and I think the industry misses him because I don't see any thinkers in the entertainment industry close to the level that Ricky was thinking on and the type of stuff that he was trying to do. So I think the impact that he had, he left too soon, but the impact that he had while he was here, I don't think people actually fully understood while he was having it. Sure. That's why, to your question, Uguti, why do people think of him like that? Why do people see him like that? It's because those in that space and doing that thing to that degree, and they're like, yo, actually this guy, and this is what, 4 or 5 years, this is before lockdown that this nigga was doing these things, you know? So
cultural icon,
my friend. Cultural icon. And in the rise of, you remember, prom was like a thing, Penuel. I don't know if you ever went there.
No, I've never been that cool, bro.
Like,
I just watched from a distance.
And it wasn't my thing. Like, you know me. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I was also trying to be in prom, be a fashionista. They're taking cool photos with graffiti behind me. Now, you understand? But I wasn't entrenched in the culture. Sure. But because at the time I was also still on mainstream, I knew something about it in that there was a lot of stars, there was a lot of noise coming from that culture. Yeah. And Ricky, in my opinion, was a leader in that because he was just fucking so cool. You know what I'm saying? All those kids thought he was cool. He did a launch once. I still have a photo of it. We did security.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an album drop or to something around Cotton Fest, but he was like, no, I'm doing it in Brom. There, like where the Adidas store was, on that corner there. And we went there with 2 bouncers. So it was 2 bouncers and me, like the guys that were working. Yeah. Thinking in my mind,
come on, it's just a launch.
50 launch. Yeah, that whole T junction was closed. Fucked. That whole street was just people. And I was like, what the fuck? Do you know what I'm saying? And this was like, imagine announcing something on Monday, saying I'm doing it on Saturday. And these are the numbers that you pull during the day. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the type of power he had. And for me, as his friend, perhaps I didn't see it because he was my bra. I wasn't his fan, you know? Like, I was too close, yes. Sure. But as I stepped back, I was like, Jesus, this guy pulled the shit off in 4 days. You know what I mean? If you attended Cotton Fest, I don't know if you've ever been to a Cotton Fest. I always say, like, if you want to know if your event has impact, if you and I decide to throw the Warras and Penuel party, and the theme for the party is all white, and on the day, people are rocking up, Matangari, Abanya are wearing red, pink, blue, whatever. People are pretty much wearing whatever they want. And maybe 20% of the attendees come in all white. Our message hasn't landed, right? When you look at Cotton Fest, you're looking at 5,000-6,000 people all coming in the theme. And the theme is, give us your most unique, most individualistic fashion expression. Again, like the beekeeper thing. Yeah. You and I might look at it and say, oh, fuck, I'd never wear that. But that kid that comes through dressed like that, they put thought, effort, time into putting together that look for this one-day festival. Yeah. They didn't just attend in a jeans and T-shirt. 95% of the people at that event are dressed like that. It's like from a culture perspective, Cotton Fest in a bandbai. You understand? You're not going to find your ordinary run-of-the-mill guy wearing, let's say the guy that you find on the club on the weekend wearing jeans and a T-shirt coming to Cotton Fest dressed like that. If he's at Cotton Fest, he's turning up. He's wearing something unique about just to shit on them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that was Ricky. He would rap about it. You know, you never find me at H&M unless they give me like 20 M. Like shit like that. It carried through. He didn't just say it in the lyrics in his music. He didn't just live it personally, but he actually had that influence over people where there were thousands like him, at least that we could see in one place on one day when you attended Cotton Fest. That's impact.
I want to give a shout out, man, to Scoop Makatini, Siyabonga Mwekazi. They had a podcast recently with George Avakian. I think it may have been in Cape Town. Because when I think of fashion icons, at
George
least
is
South
doing
African.
his podcast in Cape Town now.
Yeah. I think from fashion icon, our generation, Scoop is one of the guys that I think about a lot, who I think is highly, highly underappreciated and underrated. And I guess for me, as a person who studies other human beings and how they move, it's trying to figure out how he could have moved or which platforms he could have been on for young kids to be more exposed. Because at least I think with Ricky, the music and a Cotton Fest would help.
100%. But
Elevate.
I was going to say that I think with Scoop, but with Ricky, he was an artist. He was a celebrity. He was a superstar.
Yeah.
So the music and the festival
Yeah.
and performing every weekend helped a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas with Scoop was an MC.
Sure.
He had the radio show with Sizwe at YFM. Remember the full clip?
Sure.
He was a TV presenter. I think those platforms don't do as much as this platform.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Akusho ukuthi Scoop yena wasn't on the same. Like he's an icon. He's a cultural icon.
You've got
that
Kanye,
same-
you've got Kanye, Virgil, and Ivan Jasper, who may be on the same level of fashion cultural icon, but the one guy is a superstar. Kanye. So then you may not see the other guys.
And the one guy who is a superstar comes from music.
Yeah.
You understand? Kanye he's an artist and a producer first.
Yeah.
At least that's how he started.
Yeah.
Same with like Pharrell. Then to move into that business, or you understand, into that industry, and be good at it. You know, that's the other thing. You know, like you started this conversation by saying, would I ever make a t-shirt?
Sure.
I don't believe that people are looking to Warras to say, release this keeper. You know, imagine if I had to like design some shit. People be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Whereas those guys can do it. You understand? Kanye can release Yeezy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. I mean, Yeezy to this day, like, I think a Yeezy 1, you remember the Nike ones?
Sure.
Those shoes are like fucking 200K or some shit.
Damn.
You know? That's what it's worth for people who kept them in the box for fucking 10 years.
Sure.
Weirdos. I would never keep the shoes in the box.
Collectors
I
item.
had Yeezy 2s. I fucking kicked rocks with them and I wore them to the draw every weekend. Because I bought them when they came out. And I didn't think, in 10 years,
this will be worth something.
Yes. Sizwe also has a pair or two. Sizwe still has a pair of unboxed Yeezys, the ones. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Sizwe Dom.
Sure.
And he's got a second pair that he actually wears.
Okay.
You understand? So he was already on it that time to say, these shoes, if I buy them now, kumele ngibeke one pair.
Sure.
Because in one day it's going to be worth whatever. I don't know. Maybe one day he'll give it to his kids or some shit. But I wasn't thinking like that. I was just like, let me wear the shoes and go. That's how I think of fashion. So I feel like umuntu ofana no Scoop, he's got the credibility to be on those boards, at those tables, or on those panels. But as you say, perhaps not as recognized as others, because he was on platforms that don't give you as much mass appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want us to speak about Ricky Rick, man, but you're triggering something in everything you're saying. We're supposed to be speaking about other things.
Yes.
You know, we've got
the
the longest...
in actual fact, this was the easiest conversation I've had about Ricky Rick. I usually, when people ask me to speak about him, I start crying.
So where I want us to go, not that I want you to cry, but it might be an important conversation.
I don't want to cry. Penuel, I'm big in the community. Don't do this. That's my nigga. I'll cry for him. Fuck whoever thinks what. But no, seriously, I used to find it very difficult.
So we need
him.
to start off with... No, we've got a list. We've spoken about it.
Yes.
But
we do have a list.
I don't want us to... No, man, I don't want us to leave this topic.
No, okay.
I don't know if you...
Mtshele mngani wami. Yeah, we'll do 2 episodes. Hey, bafana, niyaphansi This man has to fetch his kids from school. Phumela ngaphandle fonela transport. Ngalanda ingane.
Why did you invite this guy here? I don't know if you are any type of fan of Trevor Noah's career.
I am. I'm a fan of his career and the way he did stuff. I wouldn't say that like I'm a fan of his, but not because I'm a hater. It's just like he's not my cup of tea. But I admire very much what he did and how he did it. In terms of like me, I wouldn't buy tickets to a Trevor Noah comedy show. Ngihlale phambili, ngihleke. I wouldn't do that. Not because we are bad, but because mina.
Ufuna
The
ukulalela
type of shit
isikhumba.
that, yebo, mina. I go to Skumba, I go to
Felix.
Felix Hlophe. You know the story.
I hear you.
Mhlawumbe because ngasemaplazini mina, you know?
Could be.
So I'll find like the
Trevor's
Zulu
too posh for
comedians
you when
especially.
you are-
Too posh for me,
You're a
though.
Makaya boy.
Yeah, but I can appreciate what he does and the
Yeah.
way that he does it.
Yeah.
Well, so from the shows that I have seen, I've never seen him live, but I've seen, obviously, like everyone else, I've seen his show. And
specials.
you know, I associate with a lot of white people.
Yeah.
And every single one of those white people is like, geez, that Trevor Oak is funny. Eh?
He's fucking
Yes,
amazing.
He's fucking amazing. You know what I'm And that's what I love, is that he found a way to cross over,
Yeah,
to
yeah, the
appeal to
cross
the
appeal.
other side. And I think that's very important when one is building their career.
Mm.
He doesn't need Warras to find him funny. Sleli kwa my
Sure.
sidla inyama yenhloko. He needs people to find him funny in his fucking Netflix special. You understand? Do you want money?
Sure.
Or do you want to impress Warras and the barbarians? Of course not.
I'm worried. I'm worried about Trevor, man. And I made a video which sounded like I was hating on him. And I'm a huge Trevor Noah fan. I've been.
What are you a fan of?
Um,
Because you're quite a white guy. You probably laugh at the jokes. Ha ha! Zuma! Ha!
Warras, you and I went to the same fucking type of schools, man. We're from the same type of neighborhoods. So I equally
imagine
want-
Penuel there is like, that fucking Zuma. Shit.
I want to express this fully. Ngiyazi uyakuthanda ukukhuluma. I made a live, man, heralding and chronicling Trevor's career from my entry point, the work he's done, to him going overseas after his mom was shot, to how he blew up with The Daily Show, to befriending some of the most influential people in the world, to leaving The Daily Show, to going back to comedy, to his podcast, What Now? I'm raising this as a reference because in the video, one of the questions I was asked was if Trevor's fallen off. And I referenced things like he cracked jokes about Uzuma no Malema, but he wouldn't crack jokes about Ramaphosa. He'd go to America, laugh at Trump, but wouldn't laugh at a Biden. Whether at some point he started being for the bag. And even now, when he goes to podcasts, when he has conversations, it's very serious stuff. ADHD, the importance of friends, understanding self, deep topics. Where in the past, with Trevor, almost any topic, he'll find a comedic moment. Now he'll have a 2-hour, 3-hour sit down. That's just serious.
Like he's a groot man now.
Yo, like properly. And he's spoken about his depression. I'm going back to Ricky, and this is why I'm referencing Trevor. Rick spoke about his depression at some points. I know WHP sat with Garrett Cliff and spoke about trying to take his life at some points as well. And I'm wondering, the way you were describing Ricky, and maybe the way I think I understand Trevor and how he was consuming the world and the way he was living, even in his comedy. And I raised this in the video that I made. The problem with being too authentic in a space that is fake and what that does to your mental state, where everyone is buying awards, where everyone is fake, everyone's trying to be cool. And when are you keeping it real? But it's so noisy, it's so loud, and something about it might fuck you up mentally, and we can't read it. We don't know. You're like, but this guy's successful. He's just signed deals with about Russian Bear and African
Because we
Bank.
equate it to money. We think, but he's doing so well.
Money,
Nemali.
fame, love. These are guys that are loved. They get pure love.
I don't think that the love ever, well, at least in the cases of the people we're speaking about, I don't think that the love stopped.
Sure.
Perhaps it got less, mhlawumbe in the case of WHP, because he wasn't as current as he was 10 years prior.
Sure.
But in terms of when we look at it, I think Ricky is a prime example, in that he was still on.
He was
as
hot.
on as can
African
be.
Bank, Russian Pay.
Thank
He
you.
was on him.
He had all the deals. He had all the money.
Trevor said to buy no Big Zulu.
No Big Zulu. Keeping Goma just like that December prior, Imalening,
Sure.
which was the first hip hop video, if I'm not mistaken. You can fact check me, but Yasha, I think, Boma 5 million views or whatever on YouTube or whatever the number was. It did that video probably did like 10 million views.
It was a
in the
huge
end.
song.
Massive song.
Yeah.
And it was accompanied by the challenge. Remember, there was the Imaleningi challenge.
Sure.
La Walker Konu Hamba Ngeinkabi.
Tutuzane Zuma were
Tutuzane
viral.
Zuma. Thank you.
Yeah.
So he wasn't in a space where his career was dipping.
His
at all.
personal life, that we know as ordinary people, that his personal life was in turmoil.
in the perception of the public,
Yeah.
where they don't know or have to know anything about his
Yeah.
personal life, whatever the situation was. It's that all these deals, massive song, career is flying, still a big boss, still
Family's
commanding
great,
the culture.
you've got children.
Dude, Cotton Fest year on year was doubling and tripling the numbers that it was doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the first one, if the first one did 3,000, the second one did 6,000, the next one did 10,000.
Yeah.
Like there was absolutely, from where we are looking from, it's like there's no reason why were you depressed.
Sure.
Because again, we equate that thing to money. And something that I still don't understand. I don't profess to understand is I don't know why he killed himself. I really don't. I wish he didn't. And I'm not saying from a money perspective. I'm saying because I knew him and I knew his character. I just don't get it. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know why. I wish I knew why, but at the same time, it's also like, I don't want to know. It's going to be a reason that I don't think is good enough.
No, I understand.
You see?
And I'm sorry we're having this dark chat
Yes.
about someone personal to you. Have you ever had mental strain from being in the public eye?
Me, heavy all the time.
People hitting you up, social anxiety from being in malls and people run at you. Oh my gosh, it's Warras, from your family starting to treat you differently. Women, like, have you ever had mental strain? I'm trying to figure out because you may find.
I think we deal with it very differently.
I think that's what I was going to say, and also your upbringing, where let's say a Ricky and a Trevor may have a different upbringing to you, where you can still. And maybe that maybe that keeps you balanced, where other guys might not have that, and when they get that mental strain and trying to fight authenticity with the fakeness of celebrity, they don't have a place to go to that neutralizes, and maybe that might be the strain that pushes them to a certain. The last time I saw Ricky was in Rosebank at Krispy Kreme. And I don't know Ricky personally. We took a photo at Loftus at one time with I've forgotten this guy's name, man. Anyways, we took a photo, and I remember seeing his face at Krispy Kreme. I don't believe in prophecy and those things, but he looked sad. But at the time, I was like, this is probably the anxiety of being a celebrity, that everyone wants to come up at you and you're not sure who this person is, what they're about.
I don't think so with him. Because... Again, like that Brahm example that I made of that event that was just fucking shut down the whole street. The type of person he was when engaging with fans, he loved it. Every Christmas, he'd put maybe like 50 pairs of shoes in the car. And then he'd drive to petrol stations, starting like with the BP, and then he'd be like, hey, James, come here. He'd have like, let's call it 50 pairs of size 10 sneakers and shoes that are worth thousands. Gucci shoes, Nikes, this way, that way. And he'd give each brewer a pair. Okay, then he'd go to the next petrol station and he'd be like, to all the guys that work at the petrol station. Obviously, it's all one size, but that was how he operated. He loved people. He loved engaging with people. They all knew he's Ricky Rick, and he just wanted to do something nice for them for Christmas type of thing. And he was giving away, dude, you're talking like 50 pairs of sneakers worth an average of 10, 20, 30,000 rand in some cases.
That's crazy.
So like 500,000 rand worth of shoes. The fuck? Do you know? So when engaging with fans, there's also like, and you notice it with different artists in the way they deal with their fans. Some of them have a relationship with fans where it's like, I have to be careful because you never know, niggas might pull up on me.
Yeah.
So they have this and I notice it with a lot of female celebs.
Sure.
They, not to say they're nasty to people, but they have like an attitude that's very like standoffish. The fans come and they're like, hi, how are you? Do you understand?
Don't get too close.
Right.
Hi.
And then you get like a Skumba or Felix Klopper, whom I've seen engaging with fans.
DJ
or Ricky
Smooths,
or me.
7.
That's it.
Yeah.
Bro, the people come and they're like, Exe, I don't know if you've ever seen me. Me, I make jokes, I talk shit, I'll go to, do you know what I mean? And I always say to the people that I'm with, I do it because I learned long time ago that sometimes for that person, the fan, this moment for you, it's like the 10th person you might be seeing for the day.
100%.
You're not in the
You're
mood.
stressed.
You had
You've got
Krispy Kreme
problems.
with your family, dog.
Yeah.
But for Penuel or whoever the fan, I'm just using you as an example, coming to you and saying, yo, Ricky Rick, that guy, he hasn't seen you for the past 10 days, 1 year.
Moment.
That one moment he gets to see you, are you going to make that a shitty moment for him? Really? It takes you 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The guy's going to shake your hand. He's going to say, yo, bonile ku podcast. You understand? We laugh together. We take a photo.
Keep it moving.
That's it. I carry on with my day. that takes mental resilience. Because as I say, you might not be in the mood for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been with a female celeb the one day. We were at Tasha's. She's a celebrity as well. Big actress, Ndlovu. And this chick like came to her at the table, the waitress, but not the waitress that was serving us. It was like one of the other waitresses with the biggest smile on her face, right? And greeted me first. Okay, like, how's Sawubona, Warras, yo, good blah, 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 blah. And I was like, hey, Sawubona, sis. She's like, oh, Ndlovu, I mean, you know, show wherever she said she's from. And then she was like, yo, good born. And then let's say this chick, because I can't say her name, I don't want to burn the bitch, but let's say,
Keep it moving.
let's say in the show,
Yeah.
her name was Mary,
Yeah.
right? But in real life, her name is Dudu.
Sure.
We are now out in the public. They're like, Warras, away.
Sure.
And uhamba no Mary. Kunjani Mary? Umbiza ngegama
Character.
She said, Mary is not my name. My name is Dudu. Ungangibizi ngoMary. And I was like,
Come on.
Jesus, what the
Come
hell, bro?
on. Come
Because
on.
it took the wind out of her sails.
Yeah.
She just crashed. Smile disappeared from her face. She was like, oh, Nyaklolis. And you know Zulus, bro. I was humble. So she was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Benghas. Like, you understand?
Yeah.
And then she was like, no, but thank you so much. Nice seeing you.
Out.
She had her phone in her hand.
She probably wanted to
She
take a
planned
picture.
to ask for a picture. This one shut her the fuck down. You understand? Sitting with her shades on. She didn't even look at her beyond telling her, my name is not Mary. So the chick just sort of like sheepishly went away, tail between her legs. Then I was like, what the fuck, guy? And she was like, oh, fuck, I don't have time for that. Yes. Anyway, we had to discuss whatever
Yeah.
we were discussing. And I just thought, like, she's my friend, whatever.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was thinking, my word, that 5 minutes, like I'm saying, for this
Yeah.
person, it's the only 5 minutes they get to see you. And it speaks a lot to one's character.
Yeah.
Now, back to the guys that we were speaking about, Ricky was that guy. He'd always make time for people, right? He literally went out of his way to drive around the whole day and find the people to give them something.
Sure.
You see, which shows you the lengths to which he went appreciating that celebrity, because it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a blessing
And it's
to
a
be
privilege.
famous. Big time, bro.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the point at which it's like when you're not appreciating it anymore.
Yeah.
You understand? And for the people that love you and the fans, I think you're doing them a disservice. If the only 5 minutes they get to spend with you or see you, the experience is like that.
You could change
It's
their
fucked up.
fucking life.
Thank
That's
you.
all they speak about forever. I once
100%.
met to Warras.
That's it.
Egoli and-
whenever I used to meet, when I used to meet people, right? There was this video I made. I was driving with my sister and I said to her, like, record me, right? I was singing Inkunzi Bejan, right? And was driving and I'm singing Inkunzi Bejan, you know, in the video. I did it so that I could WhatsApp the video to Umdu,
Sure.
right? Who's my dude, right? And then he sent it to like the bouncers group. It's like 400 Zulus in that group.
Sure.
So obviously from that 400 Zulus bouncer group, right? It must have gone everywhere.
Sure.
2 years later, I was working at Kagazi. I went to KFC to buy KFC. And I walk into KFC and this brewer that's behind the counter, not the one that was serving me now, the one like adjacent, he's like, how? Nyambona lumlungu. Then he's like, hey, he goes to the back and he calls like Matausen. And he's like, hey, Matausen. And I'm like, what the fuck this oak, you know?
Yeah.
I'm speaking to the chick, I'm ordering my streetwise 2 there with a mini loaf or whatever. And then he comes back and he's like, Muelo. And he shows me the video from 2 years ago that he somehow has in Durban. Do you get what I'm saying? For a video I sent to a WhatsApp group of oaks I know that live in Hillbrow.
Yeah.
That video got that far. Penuel, when I said, yes, it's me, say that I took off his uniform, ophumela ngaphandle, waziyolanda icathulo zakhe. Like he changed his whole outfit.
Sure.
He was like, yo, I have to get a photo, but stand by. Uniform off, gets his bag, puts on his clothing he came to work with. Like, fixes himself, and then he posed for that photo. And then he's like, man, it's almost like he left the mountain in Ndlovu, telling the people I'm going to go for it and I'm going to find this dude from this fucking stupid video that you understand. Now, if something means that much to someone, or if you've ever seen that it means that much to someone, you can't just take it for granted and be rude to anyone. Yes, it presents, like I say, with females, perhaps they need to be more vigilant. You know, it does present.
People could touch them and
people
do
also
weird things.
Yes, remember what happened to Lemise? Also thought she was engaging with fans somewhere at a gig. I remember a few years ago. Yeah, Nabegash Chaivela, you know, while she was playing a set. And then obviously people start crossing the line. They thought Lemise is Zotwa Bantu. They started like touching her and pulling
Louise.
her. Bad experience, you know. And she tweeted about it and she said like, yo, this was fucked up. The intention with which Lemise went out there was fan love.
Yeah.
But there's not always people in there that are willing to show fan love. Casper did a stage dive in Durban at a youth festival. And he dived off the stage into the crowd. They took his chain and they pulled his chain and his watch. He got back on stage. He said, please, that chain is the keys to the city, whatever. He offered like a reward of 70K for whoever would return the chain. You understand?
Yeah.
They were just like, fuck that, carry on performing Doc Shebeleza. Because obviously not everyone in the crowd stole the chain.
Yeah.
One person stole the chain. They were
And now
not going to
they're
give that
fucking it
shit
up for
back.
everyone.
The chain is probably worth $250,000. You see, so not everyone loves you.
Yeah.
We were once with Ricky, we were bodyguarding him. What's that event called? Donaldson Dam. It's like in Krugersdorp. There was a Mabala Noise event there.
Yeah.
And, you know, like he performed. And then after performing, VIP, and then he was chilling with like, you know, the record label owners and the Oaks there. And at this table, it was one of those tables. There was bottles, there was all the Oaks, all your favorite celebs, there was bitches, but Ricky was the superstar, the headliner of the show. So yeah, now he's busy talking to a Mahrotman Ngapa. And then some guy, bruh, he like came in like a ghost. But I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then fortunately, saw and he like intercepted because the guy was lunging for, it seemed like he was lunging for Ricky, right? Obviously, he got smacked to oblivion, threw him out, got Ricky out of there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The dude was actually lunging for his wife, his girlfriend. He'd been looking for her all over General Access.
Sure.
This bitch is in VIP, boozing with the Owens. So when he saw her, he was like, bitch.
Hey!
Yabo, Uguti, she was next to Ricky. But obviously, we thought he was going for Ricky. But if he was, do you understand? He had a chain on.
Sure.
Do you understand? He had a Gucci blouse. Anything can get gripped there, you know? So, yes, there's also that element. But I think it's disingenuous to act like it's like that all the time. If you're sitting at Tasha's in Morningside, I doubt anybody's going to pull up on you and snatch your chain.
Sure.
If you are Mary from his dingo.
Sure.
You check.
Sure.
Have some patience with people and appreciate that gift of fame. With Trevor, he's on a level of superstar I don't think we've ever seen from any South African ever, besides Mhlampe, Elon Musk, who isn't even really a South African. Trevor, is there anybody that has hit the heights that Trevor has hit that left from here?
Yeah.
Why a Peshe? I don't think so.
Maybe Black Coffee close. But I'm
Correct.
just thinking
Black
about Bill
Coffee.
Gates and
Yes.
some of the dignitaries Trevor sat with.
Yes. Black Coffee is Black Coffee, perfect example.
Yeah.
How could I forget Nati? Shout out Black Coffee. But Black Coffee, another example. Superstardom on another level. Worth millions, hundreds of millions. Black Coffee can no longer afford, I don't think, to just walk around Joburg. He can't go at my. You know, that wouldn't be smart. He probably can because everybody loves black coffee. Can't think of a single person that hates black coffee.
Sure.
But if black coffee is serious about his safety that comes with that level of stardom, he's got to take it seriously.
Sure.
So he might not always be, and he is, from what I've seen, every time people come to Black Coffee, ask for a photo, I've never seen him say no.
Sure.
I've never seen him have an attitude of arrogance with people.
Yeah.
And even someone like me, who's like a nobody star, I know that bro for over 10 years. You know, I know him since I was at YFM. And I attended Konka in the, what was it? It was that picnic thing that they had at Tabaya. I think it was like Konka's birthday or like the big finale party. So it was packed and Coffee was playing. Kabza the Small was playing. I think that's the one where they played the back-to-back set. So mina ngafika late, and obviously I was walking with the fucking serious white thing. You know me. I'm in the revenge for apartheid business. So I land with this white thing.
Don't invite this guy back again.
Right. So I land, me and this white thing. We frolic into Konka, right? Obviously, The reason I mentioned that she's white is because black coffee is also perceived by white people. He's a fucking superstar for white people as well.
International superstar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not a superstar for white people. Black coffee is a superstar for white people. Trevor Noah, superstar for white people.
Yeah.
That crossover thing that those guys have managed to do. So Konka's not a white event, needless to say. So Uda Namachita at his table. And we walk in, and I didn't see him, right? So I'm following the guy taking us to the table that we are sitting at. And I walk in, and he's like, yo. He's saying, yo, yo. And somebody comes behind me, taps me on the shoulder. It's one of the waiters, and he's like, sorry, Warras. We are busy, Walapan. Then I'm like, Bani. He's like, how? Oh, black coffee. I said, Bani, black coffee. Then I look, he's literally come to the edge of the area by the white picket fence. Then he's like, yo, come here. You understand?
Sure.
Now, he does this in full view of the whole event.
Sure.
So, needless to say, I felt cute.
Come on, boy.
You check now.
I've
And I'm
made it
like,
in life.
But I wasn't feeling cute because of the people there or for myself, because I know him.
Sure.
You understand? If I had to see him walk in, I'd also stand on the couch and shout at him. But then people will think I'm a groupie.
Sure.
Because they'll be like, what the fuck is this nigga shouting? But umgano
Sure.
Nyamaz. So when he called me back, the most shocked in the room was who? The serious white thing that I landed with. She was like, oh my God, is that black coffee? What? Is that black coffee? Let's go sit at his table. I said, I'll have to take you straight home. You understand what I'm saying? Because now the serious white thing was like, who the fuck is this guy? When we landed there, Mtampe she thought, guy from TV, whatever, security, uganti, wama nabo black coffee.
Come on,
we lost
I've made
now.
it.
Thank you. So when we went to he was like, fuck that, make space here, you're sitting at my table type of thing. And then
sorry, Sia Kolisi is also on that list. Sorry, keep it going.
Yeah. So he was like, come sit here by my section. And that's where we sat. And obviously for the white thing, this was great because it secured the rest of my evening.
Of course.
You understand? I landed as a boss. I left as a mega boss.
Come on.
I thank you. Thank you, Black Coffee. That was a fantastic night. But that's the level of superstar that like Black Coffee and Trevor Noah are on.
Yeah.
Sia Kolisi, I don't think he's on the level that they're on. Yes, he's a megastar. Yes, as far as sports go, I don't think Ndlovu from a South African perspective because he's just such a fantastic leader. You know, he's our captain. He's not the best rugby player in the world type of thing. But in the sport of rugby, in the role that he plays in the Springboks, are, in my opinion, second to none. The accolades, the trophies that he's won, and the team that he's led will go down in history as arguably the best team to ever play the game.
Sure.
And I think that's something you can never take away from him. And it'll continue to give him that sustained stardom. Sia Kolisi could stop playing rugby tomorrow.
Facts.
And he could still be a boss. For the next 20 years, he'd be the face of, he'd be the voice of, he'd be the ambassador of. And I think that's what's beautiful about Sia Kolisi. And many others actually in the Springbok rugby team. You know, it's such a hard choice to make. I was looking at, I think it's World Rugby Player of the Year.
Yeah.
There's like 5 South Africans in there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yes, and the thing you take offense to is that there should be 10 South Africans in there. You understand? Eben is there, Cheslin is there, Mapimpi is there. Then it's like, ow. You understand?
Sure.
That's literally the depth of the team that we have. And because Sia is the leader of that team and he leads it well, I think he deserves those flowers. But, sorry, again,
you wanted to say something about Trevor.
Yes, so to close on Trevor.
Many of us will never understand
that's the thing.
that level of...
Yes, and that's why I say, is that at least with Black Coffee, he did it playing music, you know? The scene of DJs internationally, globally, the Ibiza and the Europe and the America. We know about Avicii and about David Guetta and other superstar DJs.
Avicii is another guy that took his life.
Yes, he did, yeah.
So it might still be on topic of this thing that we don't understand.
Exactly. Avicii was at the top level, right?
Globally.
Your Swedish house mafias, and I'm thinking of acts that came here that sold out things like H2O and the Dome, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That were like huge acts. Black Coffee is that now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he's killing it. So I feel like there were others before him who did it like him.
Okay.
But not a single South African. He was the first.
Yeah.
You know, he might be the last, but someone that I think can actually reach that height is Shimza.
Okay.
Hey, Shimza's fucking killing it, though.
I've heard from people that Ushimza.
We are Shimza, man. We are Shimza. His shows that he hosts, oh, Kunye and you are, the shit that he does internationally and the places that he plays at, I really see him also. And that's beautiful because it's like you don't want one to be an anomaly.
Sure.
You want to know, Guti, this one sort of paved the way or showed the way.
But they are,
Khona
we've got
balandelayo.
more. Yeah.
Yes, you know, because the sound that South Africa produces globally is the fucking shit, is the best sound. So makes sense, Uguti. A lot of our guys must go there and reach those heights. Yeah. But when Trevor did this comedy thing, he was the first and only comedian since to do what he did. Do you understand?
Yeah.
To be honest, I think as South Africans, unless you watched unless you were a fan of like a Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle, I'm a big fan of Dave Chappelle. Or you knew the story of Jerry Seinfeld. I don't think South Africans really rated comedy as a thing that can make you a billionaire.
Yeah.
Nobody did.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Music would be more believable to make you a billionaire than comedy. And Trevor did that. He surpassed even American comedians who've been at it for fucking years.
He's jumped all those chairs. He was at the White House, Academy Awards, Grammys, anything you can think of, sitting with one of the wealthiest men, probably the most popular rich man ever in our life. Being Bill Gates.
Well, played tennis with the dude. What the fuck? Brought him out here for a tennis tournament.
Another level.
Do you know what I mean?
Even for an American success superstar, it's ridiculous.
Even for a Kevin Hart, who's the highest earning comedian, I think.
Trevor's something else.
That's it. But Trevor, when people say he fell off, I don't think so. Because if you look at what some of the stuff that Kevin Hart has done and other comedians, Trevor, it would seem, elected not to do those things. Why isn't Trevor in any Hollywood blockbusters? Movies. Why isn't Trevor doing his own Netflix movie about the boy who comes from Joburg? He's not doing any of that shit because he probably thinks it's whack. You understand? He wants to do what he does. He wants to do his podcast and talk about depression and I feel like he's in charge of what he does now. I think when you're in America...
Do you think he ran away from fame? Dave Chappelle ran away from fame and money.
100%.
Lauren Hill ran away.
Let's not say ran away.
No, I want to use ran away in the context of what we're speaking about, where... I'm sorry to mention these guys, but you look at Ricky, maybe Avicii and others. If they'd managed at some point to run away from where they were at the height and go back to what Dave Chappelle was doing in terms of going back to just clubs... Trevor Noah now just podcasting and Lauren Hill going to make babies, to be like, let me go back to normality.
Yeah, but no.
Just so I can move away from.
For that to be true, we'd need to know for sure that the reason they fell into the depression is because the fame had something to do with it. And I don't think so. Certainly in the case of Ricky, I don't think that because he was famous, it contributed to him. I think that him just personally, like I say, the way his relationship with fame, I got to view it and witness it firsthand.
It was healthy.
It was very healthy. It didn't strike me at any point, even in our conversations, but perhaps him personally and the things that he would say he's struggling with, not struggling with, but like the things that he had issues with had fuck all to do with fame. Do you understand what I'm saying? Where, for example, if a Mabala moves the goalposts and starts buying awards and Ricky's not happy about that, that's not something that'll make him depressed. It's something that he'll go on stage, get the award and say, yo, fuck this shit, these niggas bought it, me, I'm out.
Yeah.
Straight. He'll just tell you, I'm out. He never did anything. Nobody made him do anything. And fame never made him do anything.
Yeah.
It was a very healthy relationship with fame where a lot of the stuff just happened organically. He was himself. And he always did what he wanted to do. Similarly to, like we're saying, a Kanye.
Yeah.
Kanye made those shoes the way he wants to fucking make them. When Adidas pulled a move and said, fuck you, you're out because you spoke shit about the Jays. Adidas was like, cool, this man is out. He kept quiet, carried on doing his thing. Now they're back and they've reconciled.
Yeah.
And don't take my word for it, but I think in the next year, they'll probably just come back to a working arrangement because all that shit is over now.
Yeah.
You understand? And it's no longer the popular way to be, to cancel people and be woke and social justice. And we are canceling you because we don't like what you said. It doesn't make business sense for Adidas. What makes business sense for Adidas is to collab with Kanye, the greatest of his generation, and make fucking shoes. I don't think that the Adidas relationship falling apart or Kanye getting cancelled by all major platforms, I don't think that shit is what would push Kanye West to take his own life. I think he'd have, well, not that I'm saying he wants to. I'm just saying, I would be more inclined to believe that Kanye would do something like that because of his relationship with Kim and his kids, and perhaps he doesn't like what's, which he's mentioned many times, to say, this is what these people did when I was trying to see my kids. That's the shit that can really push someone over the edge.
Yeah.
So I don't think that fame was necessarily the biggest contributing factor to how things ended or how Ricky felt.
Sure.
In Trevor's case, I think that fame was a massive contributing factor to how he decided to design his business, the business angle of what he did. The Daily Show thing, you couldn't be on a better show for every day that pays you a massive check to come there, make jokes, and he was the perfect host.
Yeah.
But Americans didn't think so. Remember in the beginning when he replaced Jon Stewart, they were hating, dog. The numbers went down and people were like,
threats, he said.
that's it. And people were like, what the fuck? We don't want to see. Why did you bring this guy from Africa? Blah, blah, blah. But the machine that is Hollywood wanted that. They backed him heavily. And that's fantastic for him because he made a fuckload of money and got a fuckload of fame. Yeah. He used that fame to do his international tour of comedy where he gets to go and do the comedy that he does, which I might find not skumba.
Sure.
You understand? But it works. That's why the whites are falling all over. You check. But I think the next level or the next natural progression of that would have been the routes that other comedians before him have gone. Dave Chappelle started like the Dave Chappelle show, Chappelle show. Kevin Hart started acting in movies from as far back as Soul Plane to Ride Along to his own movies on Netflix. Sure. He's not doing that. And I don't know him well enough. I don't know the oak. You understand? But he doesn't strike me as the guy who wants to do shit like that. He just wants to do the stuff that he does. And he's got money is no longer a reason for him to do it because he's beyond, and he's back here. You know what I'm saying? He's in South Africa.
Yeah.
Where did I see him? I think maybe one of the malls. But anyway, he had no bodyguards. You understand?
Yeah.
He was like he was like in exclusive books or some shit, let's say. And, people were greeting him. Remember also, white people's fan love, very different. You understand? White people are like, oh my God, it's you.
Trevor, nice to see you.
I love your comedies. Hey, you're so funny. And you're like, yes, thank you, ma'am. Cheers. Can we take a photo? They'll stand with their hands in front of, they're not going to hold you and you understand? Whereas when the Boks were touring the trophy, that bitch jumped on Sia and tried to kiss him. You understand what I'm saying? So, mhlawumbe for yena and la phila ngakhona, he's cool. But I also think ukuthi uTrevor engavela kwaMai angeke bamthinte. He'll be fine. And he'll get mad fan love. Do you understand? But I don't think he'll be mobbed. Do you get what I'm saying?
I don't think he'll be mobbed.
Nah, I don't think he'll be mobbed.
We can close the topic, man. It's a topic very close to me because there are many psychological things we do not understand. And I don't think medicine has given us enough conclusive answers. And to what you're saying about Ricky Rick, maybe we can speak about WHP and others.
Even because WHP did cite like some reasons where in the towards the end of his career, like type of thing, he was no longer on.
Yeah.
Do you understand? But I mean, I made the example, I think the last time I came to your show, is that MT's Roll Up single, the CD, was given to me by WHP.
Yeah.
So in terms of, he was still in the industry, discovering talent and knowing it when he found it. Do you understand? At least in my personal experience. Akusho ukuthi besekaphumile to the degree where it's like no one is letting him in. Ngaphandle.
And people still loved him.
Yeah, dude, geez, like, and you could still book that nigga and fucking sell out. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I say I don't think that the fame or the loss of fame or the relationship with fame is the only contributing factor in somebody suffering from depression. And as you say, it functions at a level that you and I won't understand.
Yeah.
And if I had to know the reason as to why he decided to do what he did, I don't want to know. Because if I find out, it's going to be something that I think is not good enough. And I don't want to think of my friend like that. I don't want to be like, what the fuck? That's the reason? Fuck that. You understand?
Sure.
I'd rather not know. And it kills me to not know because I miss him very much. But I'd rather not know because it's going to be something that I can't comprehend. But for and for the person, from what I understand is, for the person that's going through it, you and I will never understand. Me, I can tell you honestly, fact. I don't care if I can remain being famous or stop being famous. Nothing would make me kill myself. So if I kill myself, you must know they
We
killed
must go
me.
investigate.
It's an Epstein move.
Andrew Tate likes saying that. I'm not going to take my life. I'm in good health.
That's it.
So if anything happens, Baba,
now
you must
imagine
know.
tomorrow we had to find out actually Andrew Tate was really depressed. Now we don't even know that, Oak.
Yeah.
But imagine tomorrow we find out that Tristan comes out and says, hey, you know what? What most people didn't know is as soon as we switched off the live stream, hey, this bra used to start crying. You see. The thing is, he had this particular traumatic experience that happened in his life, and it's what actually depressed him. But you guys just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Because what he presented to you was a different persona. I wouldn't believe it. I'll tell Tristan you're lying. But maybe Tristan is telling the truth. But for me as Warrick, that is not an acceptable reason, in my opinion, as a fan of Andrew Tate, for that guy to take his life. No. Rather come talk to me, Andrew. Let's sort it out. You understand? And that's how people behave. When the topic comes up, I've noticed people, when Liam Payne killed himself, people are like, what the fuck? He was so rich and so famous. And I'm like, yeah, but what the fuck was that guy dealing with there in that room by himself? I don't know. And I don't want to know, because chances are when the reason comes forth, you're not going to accept it. It's not going to be an acceptable reason for you or for his fans or for any of us. I don't believe there can be one. You know what I mean? If someone had to tell me this is the reason that this thing happened, I won't accept it also because I don't want to. I'd rather have my friend back.
4 out of 5 people who commit suicide in the world are men. And men are under various forms of life pressures, which some we understand: money, unemployment. Maybe at some point you picked up a drug habit or an alcohol habit, which has kind of fucked you up in some way. Gambling, which becomes money, etc. Your woman's left you. You find out you raised a kid for 12 years and the child's not yours.
That's a fuck up. Okay, listen, if that happens to you and you die, I can.
But there's certain things that we may not understand, and there's manifestations. And I have a soft spot because some of these people, to what you're saying, Lauryn Hill, super successful, miseducation, Andre 3000.
Left at the height. She pulled out at the height.
The Love Below, Andre 3000, Dave Chappelle, and I'm still not convinced, and this is for me, maybe other people might feel the same or not. It's just trying to figure out what is it so that if ever there are people close to us going through something similar on a micro scale, if we can find the releases, Andre 3000 moves from rap to playing the flute.
And
Lauryn Hill decides to become a mother. Sorry?
And then forces it down our throats.
But we love him, so we'll listen.
Yeah, I loved him when he was rapping. When he started playing flutes, I was like, yeah,
but that might become
maybe
an outlet.
it helps. Maybe he needs to play flute and he needs us to listen.
Sure.
So that he can come out of that.
Because apparently everywhere he goes, even in the streets, he just plays the flute.
Well, to Andre 3000, I'd like to say I listened to it ngavali volume. I contributed numbers to your stream.
And some of these other people, like a Dave Chappelle, like in escaping to South Africa at the time when they were giving him the deal, could have saved his life. For an Andre 3000, the flute. For Lauryn Hill. For the next person, a Kanye West. Whatever it may be, finding Jesus. Maybe having kids and being like, if it wasn't for Abo North and my other kids, I don't know where I'd be. And how we can navigate around that so that, because a lot of people, when they're not well, to what you were saying about Andrew Tate, a lot of guys especially, they won't say. And the more tools we have, the more you can be like, no, I just want to be home this week. And we're going hiking. We don't give a fuck. Because we may find out that those small things, when we do the data collection, are the things that keep gents going. Watching a sports game, going out to Tamachita.
Do you not think that, let's not say they won't say anything. It's that perhaps the people around them are people to whom they can't say anything.
That is also true.
Right? So it's like I always say to my people, right? I say, I'm fortunate in that no matter what is said about me, right? I've tried to build my character in a way where if somebody comes to you and says, Penuel, did you hear what Warras did? He did XYZ to this chick and he SA'd her.
Sure.
You must be able to look them in the face and say, you're boos. Yeah. You are talking shit. I know that nigga.
His character's consistent.
Thank you. I don't believe you. You understand?
Yeah.
Wait for the evidence to come out, whatever. If I did, right? And then cancel me. But until proven otherwise, you must be that unassailable character that someone try and build yourself to that, so that the people that know you and the people that you care about know that they can come to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a big part of being a man, a leader in your family, is that as a father, I would like my children to know that they can come to me with anything, because I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to fucking shit on them first. I'm going to listen, and then we're going to fix it.
Sure.
Because you don't want to be wishy-washy with abantu that depend on you. And I think a lot of men don't have people around them like that.
Yeah.
Because I've got friends who've come to me because they see me as that guy. And I have friends who I see as that guy, that I can go to and I can offload those things.
Safe
knowing
spaces.
that this person is going to give me the advice I need to hear.
Yeah.
Not the advice I want to hear,
Yeah.
the advice I need to hear. And hopefully it helps. Maybe it doesn't help, but at least they're honest with me. And vice versa. You'll come to me and you'll say to me, Exe, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I might tell you some shit that you don't like and might offend you and really upset you for the day, but I'm always going to tell you the truth. I'm not just going to tell you some shit so that you can fuck off.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of men have got characters like that around them. Most don't. It's very rare to find that type of true friendship.
Sure.
And I don't mean friendship as in some best friend you grew up with.
Yeah.
I mean friendship as in one person close to you, a friend or family member, somebody that you know well, a colleague that you know is dependable on that level. And when that is the situation, you're left by yourself because you've got these tiers of things you can share. And that stuff that's pushing you over the edge is at the top tier, and you've got no one that you can share it with. You might have your mom and your sisters and your brothers that you share this stuff with. Then you've got your friends you share this stuff with. But akekho umuntu that you can share this with. You keep it bottled in, you hold it in, you by yourself, and then you end up making a permanent decision that affects, most of all, the people you leave behind.
Yeah.
Not you, you are gone. But the people you leave behind are now saying, why the fuck did this guy do this thing? You know, what is you? It's fucked up. Every time you talk about it, you might cry. It's like, hey, why did you leave me like this? You know? So I think that's really what men struggle with. And like some of the reasons that you cited is like, money is a big one, because money is a source for multiple facets of problems.
Sure.
You check. It's not just money. It's that when you don't have money, you are so fucked on different degrees, you know. You might not have money and then there's a serious medical emergency and you've got no medical aid.
Sure.
Now what? You must go to government hospital with your child and your child is seriously sick,
Sure.
right? You might not, my son was sick. He had a blood clot in his leg.
Shit.
And I was in the transition of signing on with FedHealth. I like FedHealth. They've been fucking super since. But anyway, fortunately for me, by the grace of God, the best vascular surgeons and vascular department is found at Charlotte Maxeke. There is a Dr. Monareng and a Dr. Kasumji who
dope.
head up the dream team of vascular niggas. We've got people coming in here from Canada, the USA, to come and study under these doctors. So fortunately for me, that's where he ended up. But I was shitting myself. Now imagine it had been something else and now I had to go to a private hospital. I would have had to pay cash.
Yeah.
If it was this particular thing, it would have cost me in excess of R500,000 rand payable upfront for him to have the treatment and procedure that he needed.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So you don't want to feel like, that's why I say when people say not have money, angisho ukuthi siyahlupheka, siyashona endlini. I'm saying when there's that thing that
We
comes
can't solve
up,
problems.
that's it. You need to solve problems with money. It might be, as I say, so that's health. Then on the other side, it's like, as a father of ingane yangaphandle, outside child, you're dealing with the baby mama.
Yeah.
You have to pay school fees.
Yeah.
You don't have money. That bitch is going to sit on your head.
Sure.
She's going to make you feel like a puss because you can't pay the school fee. So a situation is bad. A person adds to it and makes it worse, where you could have just fixed it by saying, shut up, here's
money.
10,000. You see? So money then, because it's such a key component of all these other things, it affects men not just in that one way, where it's like, I don't have 100K, so I can go to Rockets on a Saturday.
Sure.
Mpuze, njengo Penuel. I'm sad. No, it's now affected at a level where it's like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't go here, I can't. And it just piles on.
Yeah.
You see, and then men go into that because not a man is not going to now say openly to his friends and family. You know, Dave Chappelle makes that joke. He says, you can't have that conversation with your kids where you're like, come here, little nigga. listen, I haven't paid the rent for 3 months, my nigga. We are out. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, you want to try and pretend like you've got it all together.
Sure.
Everything's,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying? You can't sit your kids down and say, yo, niggas, I haven't paid your school fees for 3 months. Just homeschool for 2 weeks. What the fuck?
Sure.
You know? And then imagine you fighting this fight, this race against time.
Yeah.
And then it happens. Boom. The school suspends the lighty.
Yeah.
The baby mama is number one.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Look now, motherfucker. Now the light is like, how dead. Manje ngihleli endlini.
Sure.
Ngiyabheda. Yabo. What does that do to a man?
Yeah.
You see. So I think people, like I say, everything is like, we talk about stuff and we attribute reasons for why things are at face value. We don't go deeper into it and say, actually, what does this thing actually cause?
Yeah.
And over time, how does that build, alter, or determine a person's character traits? You know what I mean? Is it going to lead to you one day sitting at Tasha's and someone calls you by your character name and you fucking blow up at the bitch? You know what I mean? How does it manifest itself? Is it going to lead to you start abusing alcohol, gambling, because now you need money, so you're hoping you hit
Sure.
a quick one and you can pay all these things? Are you going to beat your wife up? You know what I mean? Are you going to go outside the home, frequent Royal Park and start fucking Taiwanese fat things? What are you going to do?
There's Taiwanese fat things. That
Only
real.
fat things there, man. Can't go eat there. Don't go there.
I'm trying
You check.
to start the podcast because we haven't started.
Oh, well, fuck. Well, there's that.
Can we start?
Can we end here? Then this is one episode and then we go into
there's no
another.
one episode. Okay, let's start officially. Warwick Stock,
Yes.
thank you so much
And
for
as we start, ngicela amanzi. Eish, face, amanzi amapheli.
the water's coming.
So
Sorry,
increase the aircon, dot.
are you cold?
Yo, I'm hot.
No, that's the lowest. That's the lowest.
No, sengisho ifan yakhona angithi ayishayi
Oh.
kakhulu. Ngiyayizwa. That's a 2 episodes, eh? Penuel?
No, man. I wanted to start this officially down, but I want to give a shout out, man, to Johannesburg Jen, Charlotte Maklege, the
Fitz,
doctors that you referenced.
Ngiyababongela,
Yeah,
like,
and
from the
I
bottom
guess
of my heart.
we can close off that topic.
Yes.
Yeah, I still had a lot to say. Part of it was this, maybe,
Yes.
but don't respond because we have to start
Yeah.
officially. They replaced shackles with debt so that we can enslave ourselves and work. And they underpay us so that we need debt so that we can just stay alive. So in that way, we keep working for the system. And I'm wondering if in a space where you can't take men out anymore, you need them to take themselves out. And you design an economic system where men will never have enough. And at some point, they will crash. And that's where you also make it easily accessible for them to get drugs, alcohol, so that they take themselves out. You're like, it's not us, it's him. And you're like, but the system you guys created is such that men can't win and they're going to crash. And
But
then
it's
this will
as
happen.
though they've measured it to such pinpoint accuracy that they know how much they can get out of you before that happens.
100%.
Like, again, Dave Chappelle's example
Yeah.
of the bottom bitch, the mileage on a hoe example he makes, where he's like, how many fucks can this hoe handle before she fucking snaps?
Jeez.
Might be 100 fucks, 200 fucks, 300 fucks, you know?
Yeah.
And you know when she hits 298, usuyambona ukuthi, "Ayi, uyaphela." So
Sure.
you have to do something. You have to interject. But she's already given you 300 fucks as the pimp.
Yeah.
You know? You've made your money from her. You've got your use out of her.
Sure.
And in the same way, the system gets the use out of that man that it needs. Because while he's working and he's doing this and he's in debt and he's not coping and whatever, things are happening. The company that he works for is benefiting from his intellect and his IP and the work that he does every day. You know, think of a mine as an example. How many times can you go underground and fucking chop rocks every day,
Sure.
5 kilometers underground?
Sure.
You understand how many days can you do that? But over the entire span of your career as a miner, how much gold have you mined? How much iron ore have you brought out? You see, your cost to company, your salary all those years is X amount. It's never been enough to give you a quality of life beyond uhlale mine, send money home, that sort of mundane hamster wheel. But for the mine, you times the 3,000 other workers has generated billions and billions and billions in profit. So we've measured how much we can extract from you before you snap. And when you snap, I replace you with somebody else.
One of our episodes, this is our third one, is the longest episode we have here.
Yes, that's why I suggested you to.
Damn.
Three
Three
and a half
hours, 3 hours, 21
And that one got
minutes.
fucking shadow banned, eh?
It got shadow
Because
banned.
you were talking about the
'Cause
camps
me.
for camping in the
'Cause
camp
me.
camp. I can't
'Cause
say
me.
it, otherwise Buzz was vile food. We're not talking about that today, Penuel.
Welcome, bro. Welcome back.
Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate you.
And I appreciate you for honoring my request the last time. The last time I came to this podcast, ngacela inkomish. I asked for komish, bro.
To take you
And
back to
Penuel
where you came
ordered it.
from.
Take me back to Vryheid.
That's what's up. How's
Sekaya,
podcasting?
Pen. What are you doing?
How's podcasting been? How's the vibes? You know, what are you up to these days that you want to speak about?
Look, the podcasting thing has been very good. So far, so good.
Yeah.
It's been a massive learning curve.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I like
because,
it. I like what I'm hearing.
You know, we work on a platform called Unreal Engine.
Mm.
So we've spent a fortune bringing in machinery and equipment to cater for a green screen.
Yeah.
So the podcast is just what we do on the green screen. It's not, we're not designing the business around podcasts.
Okay.
But essentially what it is because that machine allows you to create what's called the Unreal environment. It's the platform on which games are built.
Okay.
We are looking at putting that into the media space in South Africa because our partner agency at the Real Network is Rap Creative.
Okay.
So it's a media agency. So from a client perspective, the way that the business model of the podcast is this is our studio and this is what our studio can do for you. And I mean, just before we started the show, I showed you that AI video.
Sure.
You know, you can shoot stuff like that and you can create these environments, which brings down the cost of having to shoot and execute an advert for a brand.
Yeah.
But increases the look that you can achieve, you know, and the shit that you can do. Because now you're talking like special effects, Hollywood vibes. So that's the end goal. But from a podcast perspective, it's also been a learning curve because it seems like it's not a lot of work, but it is a lot of work. You know what I mean? And I used to say this to people about radio. People would always say to me, they'd be like, what the fuck? You work 3 hours a day? I was like, 3 hours a day? Nigga, I must be there before, I must be there after, you know. So in the same way, it's like there's a lot of work that goes into putting on that final product. Even now, we're still fucking around because you know me, I don't care. Me, I'll fuck around for as long as it takes me to fuck around till I get it right. But we're still fucking around with different formulas, topics, things to engage on, whatever, you know. There's a lot of improvement that can happen, which I'm trying to structure. But again, everything costs money. So, you know, I implore people to just be patient in that we are working, you know, and obviously support as much as you can because that helps us get the work in. But we're working to try and see how do we tailor make this product in such a way that it gets the attention that it deserves, but it also gets like the nods, the awards. We won a podcast award, SA Podcast Awards, which was nice.
Hey, that's dope.
Right? And I don't know if we should win. Do you understand? But I was happy that we
Mabala
won.
noise.
Yes.
Inina.
But I'm happy to say that is an independent body. It's not one where they know you from inside.
Sure.
You understand? They know Garrett Cliff. So now, they don't know us, you know? They actually put us ahead of him. He came third or some shit, you know? But there are other award shows that we've been nominated for because, as I say, it's not just a podcast. We've designed a whole studio and an offering where we hope that, you know, the Luries of the world and the bookmarks of the world notice what we're doing because we're also trying to change the game. I think the media landscape in general in the country needs that.
You're the only podcast that has a green screen, from my knowledge.
And because it's a fucking ball ache, it's hard. It's not easy.
The only other one I've seen experiment is one of our favorite visual podcasts, Chris Williamson. He's from the UK and he's played around with whatever technology. But
he got that
it was an
LED screen
experiment.
one. Right, so his whole thing has got that LED. There's like a fucking next level LED technology.
That's crazy. But green screen, I think outside of him, you guys are the only ones globally, I think, that I'm aware of that have done that.
We've recently acquired that screen that Chris Williamson has. Unreal Engine,
Unreal Engine.
Correct.
The Mandalorian.
Yes. It's a big deal.
But it's not.
No, it's not. It's not. It's also, look, it's fucking expensive as well. Yeah, one of two in South Africa. The other guys are in Cape Town.
Two other people and
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
what other people.
Thanks, Mganwam. I didn't want to blow my toot my own. you know why I don't want to toot my own horn, Penuel? It's because yes, we have it now, but now we have to actually make it work.
I hear
You
you.
understand? So now we have to make it work, and we've got to sell it in such a way that it generates money and people recognize that we are one of two in South Africa, motherfucker. We are like, we're really taking a risk here, but it can be worth it. We've recently acquired that screens one,
Sure.
right? So that one, we're concluding that in terms of, it's another aspect of the Unreal Engine platform that you can now start utilizing, where from what it looks like now, or rather the potential that it has now, you take 10 steps up by having, but that fucking screen with all the LEDs, that shit is like 4.5 bar,
Jeez, let me read this.
you know, with
This is from
nothing on it.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine is a 3D computer graphics game engine. I hope this is the right thing.
Correct,
Developed by
yeah.
Epic Games. First showcased in 98. In the 1998 first-person shooter video game Unreal. Initially developed for PC first-person shooters, it has since been used in a variety of genres of games and has been adopted by other industries, most notably the film and television industry.
Precisely.
Written in C++ and features a high degree of portability, supporting a wide range of desktop, mobiles, console, and virtual reality platforms.
Yes.
In 2014, Unreal Engine was named the world's most successful video game engine by the Guinness World Records. I think
Makes
I'll just
sense.
read that.
Yeah. And if you think about it, so I don't know if you play games.
Why don't you guys say this on the podcast? Like, you know, there's like name dropping, like Thibaut Touch does, which I used to think was so
Yes.
tacky.
No, but it's
until
like-
you realize this, that actually fucking works. Guys, we have Unreal Engine.
No, you know what it is that because, like I say, the Unreal Engine is not there for the podcast.
Sure.
It's there because from a media perspective. So if you look at the Real Network as a media house,
Yeah.
that's what it's there for. The podcast, Garrett's podcast, our podcast, we've got 3 new podcasts starting as well. We've got the doctors now, also 2 more. We've got a doctor's show called Let's Talk, man.
Sure.
Fucking coolest guys. They're in their 30s. They're doctors. They like fucking top of their game. And they come
know
and
their
they
name?
discuss. Yeah, Dr. Brendan Matthews.
Oh, shout out to Brendan
Dr.
Matthews.
Sohail Issa.
Shout out to Sohail Issa.
Ntlanhla, Dr. Ntlanhla.
Shout out to Dr. Ntlanhla.
So
The whole
there
squad.
used to be the Gents Clinic.
The Gents Clinic, yeah.
Correct. They brought the Gents Clinic essentially across. So they are utilizing our platform. But then again, if you think about the application of Unreal Engine, the doctor's show is like the central distribution point for the information and the shit that we talk. But this now offers a client that perhaps might be interested in sponsoring a show that is hosted by doctors into how do we take everything that you want to do and make it happen for you at a level, at an Elon Musk level, you know? And what I was saying is, if you think about games, like you mentioned, you know, first-person shooter games like Doom, they were like they were 3D, but they were like 2D. You know, you turn the corner, you shoot the truck on, whatever.
Sure.
Now, when you play games, my son plays Fortnite at like fucking 2 a.m. You can run around Fortnite, you run. You know, when we used to play Circus Charlie, you just had to jump over the lions,
Sure.
then you jump over the monkeys, you are
Sure.
finished, you know? The games of nowadays offer this environment, this world
Full world.
that you enter that is never ending. You don't clock Fortnite. You play and play and play and play and play and play and play. Same with GTA. If you play GTA online, you're running around Los Angeles there. You can go anywhere in Los Angeles because Unreal Engine comes with the capability to build an entire environment in this gaming world, which is
Grand Theft Auto.
that's it, yeah. Which is why gaming now is so huge, you know? And in the same way, we're hoping that it can offer us the ability to build whatever it is from a client perspective and from a media, a content perspective.
Yeah.
We can now start building things that we are not beholden to. Okay, we have to do it like this. We've got to get a full crew. Then we've got to go to this place and shoot your advert. No, we can make it cool, you know? And that's the thinking. So wish me luck.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying podcasting itself?
I am enjoying podcasting. I like that I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I like that you can discuss any topics. You know the story is that like you are free to decide what it is you want to talk about because it's your platform.
Sure.
And I love having that freedom. And you know, PH is my dude. I love PH. We basically talk the same shit we talk off air on air.
Sure.
Which is great.
Nah, that's
Recently
cool.
got a new producer. I like him, that Lighty. You know, he's coming with the vibe. So I see it also taking like a nice direction. That's sort of like, it was like a missing link.
Yeah.
Where it was like, sometimes if you, not to say we had cuck people, but like if you have the wrong person, you know, now you have like the right person, you believe in this guy. There's another editor as well that also recently started. I love the way that guy is cutting. I wasn't happy with the way the stuff was being cut.
Sure.
Because there's so many facets to podcasting. You know, you do the show and you host it on YouTube, but you want the shit to be on TikTok in this way and on Twitter in this way. I think where the next wave is, where I'd like to focus my efforts, is X. I think that when Trump comes in January 2025, Elon gets into Doge, I think that Meta and TikTok are going to take a massive hit. And I think when he bought X, I think he already had the
Do you
plan.
think he's going to leverage American money, the government's money, to invest in X, to make it the WeChat that he's been wanting to build?
I think he's going to ride the wave of credibility that X now has as a result of this election win, to say, look how cuck those ones are. They censor your shit. They do. So unless Meta radically changes the way in which they censor content. I mean, I've commented on a video and then I'll say something like, it'll be like a fat chick talking about, I like my body and I dress like, then I'll comment then I'll say, but you are a fat cunt. And then it'll say, you can't say that.
Sure.
You understand?
Sure.
X will let me say, Fusek, you're fat. You understand? X will stop. Instagram won't allow me to make a comment like that. The same with TikTok. I'll make you an example. I didn't call anyone a fat guy, but I was thinking it. You know?
Of course you were thinking it because your mind is garbage.
You check. So it limits that sort of expression.
Yeah.
And people know it now. So even if they reverse themselves and
It's like,
stop limiting
we
expression.
already know who
It's
you
like, we already know you niggas are like this. Making X, as I say, the most credible among social media platforms for content creators to share whatever they want. And Elon has built the infrastructure to where it can host everything that YouTube can host.
Yeah.
It's just you need to sort of like not convince the people. But when that changeover happens in January, I think it's naive to think that Elon just wants to be in the Doge just to fix stuff.
What's it called? The Department of Government Efficiency.
Doge. Got 1.4 million followers in one day. I was one of them.
Jeez.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great for South Africa. I think it's going to be great for the world.
Outside of you denouncing being colored on one of our podcasts, one of the things
I'm colored again.
Oh, you're back being colored?
I'd like to take this opportunity to announce that they put me under too much pressure, brother. I was getting death threats. Listen, Oaks, I'm back. I wear massacred. Imagine. Listen, I'm back, brother.
You're back for real?
No, what the fuck? I'm not back. I'm still who I am. I'm who I was when I came here. But if they want me back,
Mali, you need to bring you back.
They want me back. They want me back. But I'm nice. I'm cool by the Zulus, bro. They look after me.
Ow! Danke siyabonga.
Love the fucking Zulus, bro.
Cyril, Eskom, Estron, Shanduga, Pembani. We spoke about this. You know, we speak about a lot of things.
Almost 2 years ago now.
We speak about this now, and a lot of these things come out in mainstream media, and it still makes me sad, but I understand that people wait for mainstream to say things that we are already aware of.
Yes. Pisses me off.
Yeah.
When I'm like, we fucking said this with Penuel.
Yeah, all you guys needed to do was just go research to be like, we're talking shit. That's all. But you didn't do it. You were like, fuck these guys.
Yes.
And then when mainstream says it, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And you're like, actually, fuck you, because we told you.
Yes.
And you guys saw it. But hopefully with social media and alternative platforms, more and more people are going to start taking some of us seriously. Even when we add the disclaimers. Apparently, allegedly, rumors have said, it's for you guys to go and research, because the stuff is there. If it's not there, there are people that work in these spaces to try and ask 100%. What's going on here.
And also, like you and I, when I say that stuff, it's my opinion. Based on the research that I've done. I don't propose to know that it is hard, concrete fact. But I think if we look at all the evidence and we draw a conclusion, those of us of some intellect can only reach one conclusion.
Yeah.
What it is for you to then go down the same rabbit hole and tell me what you find. You know, what is ridiculous? What is conspiracy theory? What is acceptable? And when you start looking at all of these things, you start realizing that there's a naivety that people approach. There's a naivety in ignorance where people approach a thing. It's like, I don't know if it's because they'd rather not know or if it's because they're on the side of the conspiracy.
Sure.
They're like, no, nobody must find out. You know, today I actually tweeted, there was some guy, Indian Muslim guy. He tweeted, it's a TikTok video that he posted about the Penuel family.
Yeah.
Right? And I commented on, like he went through the whole thing, the Manels, and they won the Boa Bab, and then they were with Mandela, and they started the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. And then I was like, you see? I went, I listened to his little TikTok, and I haven't done the research thus far. But what I will say about the Manels, which is what my comment on the tweet was, I said, you know, there's the families that we know.
Yeah.
And then there's the families that we don't know,
Yes.
but we know, right? And then there's the families that we don't know at all.
don't know at
right?
all.
And Donald Rumsfeld, he was the American defense minister. What do they call it? Not minister?
Attorney or
Secretary of
something.
Defense.
Okay.
Something. He was a senior position in the Bush administration. And he had to come out, you know, to the press conference. It was like post 9/11. He's the guy who announced that, you know, one of the planes flew into the Pentagon, hit the section where we keep the records of like $2 trillion. Hey, except burnt all the records. We don't know where's that money. People were like, what? Wait, just reverse. Because they were dealing with all the trauma of 9/11 and Osama bin Laden, and they flew planes into buildings. He kind of just threw that shit in there at the press conference like, hey man, they hit a research wing where all the hard drives were. That shit is lost forever. It's $2.3 trillion. We don't know where it is. And then just moved on from there because mainstream media never picked it up. Nobody spoke about it further. And then in a follow-up interview or whatever it was, press conference, he said he was asked a question that needed a direct answer. And then he said, there are known knowns. These are the things we know.
Yeah.
There are known unknowns. That's to say, these are the things we know we don't know. And then there are unknown unknowns. These are the things we don't know. We don't know. Thank you very much for your time. And then he fucked off and people were like, what the fuck is this? But I've watched that video and I've ran that thought in my head over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And you can actually apply it to anything.
Sure.
What we were talking about earlier about Trevor Noah, Dave Chappelle, the decisions they made, the way they built their careers, why did they choose this path, what happens in Hollywood, Pete Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein, everything.
Sure.
And you say, there are known knowns. It's the shit that we know.
Yeah.
We know movie stars are superstars and Trevor is a comedian and Dave Chappelle is a comedian and whatever. And then there are known unknowns. Why does Trevor Noah, when he sits on the Daily Show, talk shit about Donald Trump and never about Joe Biden? I don't know, but I know he does it.
Yeah.
And then there are unknown unknowns. Why didn't he go and star in Hollywood movies and make 50 million a movie? Why did he come back here to come and stay in South Africa? The fuck?
Yeah.
You know? And Trevor, and in no way am I saying that he's part of some secret cabal.
Sure.
I'm saying that he's been there. He's seen stuff. He's been in that industry. Yet these are the decisions he made. I would have been fucking bitches and doing cocaine. He came back to South Africa and he's blooming.
Sure.
You see? Because I don't know the unknown unknowns.
Sure.
And when I think about this Penuel family, the known knowns are the Oppenheimers and the Visas and the Juestas and the Ruperts.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones whose names are told to us all the time and we know their stories and we know which businesses they own and we know who they are aligned with. And it's like they give us those stuff and Steinhoff is like this. So Steinhoff used to be an unknown unknown.
Yeah.
Then it became a known unknown.
Sure.
Now it's a known known. And that guy is apparently dead. That's an unknown unknown.
Yeah.
We don't know if that thing is dead. We didn't see the body. You know? And I was like, but in the Chabo Besta started a trend.
Come on, Kevin Watson.
Kevin
the boys
Watson,
are on
where
it.
is that, bruh?
Sure.
You know? Now it's like, there's levels to which we can investigate something. And in order to appease the public, if there's enough pressure put on the media and the establishment, in order to appease the public, you have to throw them something. If there was enough noise made about Kevin Watson and enough noise made about Marcus Jooste, bruh, then remember that Leon Schuster thing where they come with the coffin and then it's Dumbu. They must show us this Dumbu. Until then, people are going to say, Gavin Watson is on a tropical island.
Sure.
And Marcus Joost is on and they pulled a Thabo Bester and they're gone.
Sure.
Because now we know that Thabo Bester did it.
Yes.
And he was out for a long time before we found this guy.
He's not the wealthiest
Thank
guy.
you.
He's not the most connected guy. And if he
Precisely.
could do it with pieces of
My
horse
man.
or whatever he had there.
You see? And a Dumbu that he found somewhere.
Sure.
If Thabo Bester and Nandipa could find a Dumbu that nobody
Come
cared
on.
about, bro, these ones that are dying now and people are like, but is he really dead? Show us this Dumbu. They're never going to show us this Dumbu. So we stuck at the known unknown level. Then we know the Shanduka story, right? The other thing that the media is very powerful at doing is when they focus their attention on this particular topic now, you know it now. 4 years later, they'll focus their attention on this particular topic, expecting us to forget that 5 years ago, you told us this.
Facts.
You understand? The Guptas is a good example.
Yeah.
We were told that these motherfuckers have raped the country. They have state captured us. Everything's broken
Sure.
because of these guys. And we are going to extradite them and we are going to bring them here and they are going to stand trial. And Duduzane landed at OR Tambo and they put him in chains. Duduzane is in Durban living perfectly fine. He's been charged with absolutely fuck all. He's never been to court. Nothing is happening to Duduzane.
Facts.
Nothing is happening to the Guptas either. Ronald Lamula told us they're extraditing them. We are still waiting. It's been 2 years, bruh. What's going on? Where is the paperwork that you sent and how come it's not getting to...
Sure.
You see,
There was something about a warrant of arrest that was meant to be sent from South Africa. It was never sent.
where is it? So now they report to us stuff like it's a known.
Sure.
But it's actually now an unknown.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, what did these people actually do then
Yes.
that you can actually charge them with? And how is it possible that you are incapable of enforcing whatever you say it is to a degree where anybody takes you seriously?
What did they? It's one of the questions I ask almost all white people who hate the Guptas and blacks, some. Tell me what they did. Come on, bro.
Yes.
Everyone knows.
The
Knows
problem-
what? Tell me. I'm stupid.
Yeah.
I'm a pop
Come on,
bill,
bro,
whatever.
what do you mean, bro? What do you mean? Those oaks, Jesus Christ, they stole so much. Okay.
Trillions of dollars, bro, in Dubai. Tell me what they did. Just tell me they took money here or tell me, yeah, but you know, Khwezi Jonas. I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. Tell
Hey.
me what, because I can tell you now there are ministers, politicians that sit with all types of business people. We don't know what conversations they have. And
Thank
even
you.
if they said you must become a minister, it's hearsay, it's whatever. I'm saying, tell me what they did. They went to Eskom. They sent an invoice to Eskom of 500 million rand.
Yes.
And then Eskom sent the money, but there was never any coal delivered. Tell me what
That's
they
yes.
did.
Then at least I know.
Then we're like, oh,
But then
they
I- but
had
then-
bogus invoices.
Cool. But then I find out that everybody was submitting bogus invoices. Everyone that was supplying coal to Eskom was sending fucking rocks instead
Sure.
of coal. They weren't the only ones. Then we find out that the big coal company has got this fucking like an evergreen contract with Eskom where
What about Glencoe?
not Glencoe, there's the other one.
Not Seriti.
Not Seriti. Man, it's like a top 5 company.
Not BHP.
Not
Extrata.
what's that?
Extrata.
It's not Extrata. Biggest
Exaro.
Exaro.
I know all these boys. We
Right.
can go through the whole list.
There's like an Exaro contract that exists there somewhere where they get paid sort of like a retainer
Sure.
for coal. I think it's called what is it called? Evergreen coin. Like you start finding out these things. Anyway, the details of it is not important. It was a long time ago that I heard it. But long story short, it's like they don't have to actually physically deliver the coal because Eskom is not in a position to receive the coal.
Come on.
So imagine at Medupi, you've got 6 burners, right? Glencoe is supplying burner 1. Guptas are supplying burner 2. Exaro is supplying burner 3. But burner 3, 4, and 5 are offline. So only 1 and 2 are burning. So Glencoe still has to deliver, it gets burnt. Guptas deliver, it gets burnt. But at number 3, they're not burning anything. So you don't have to deliver anything. But we are still mining it at the mine. So you have to pay us for it.
Tegeta Optimum. So I just wanted to get these names.
Yeah, Optimum was the one that the Guptas owned, and I think it's since been taken over by
Tegeta.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is Mike
Teke. Mike Teke, sorry.
yeah. Isn't it? He's the
I don't know, I
Tegeta
think
or
Uteke
no,
is,
he's the Seriti
Seriti.
guy. Anyway, all very confusing, all these names.
nice.
Sharp.
And we know fuck all about what's going on.
Correct. Unknown unknowns, my friend. We don't know. But what we do know is that there is an amount of money that Eskom spends on the purchase of coal. Okay? What is that final figure? So say that final figure is, like last time what we discussed, and this is factual, you can Google it, is that Eskom, at the point at which we were on stage 6 load shedding, they were burning 9 million liters of diesel a day. Okay? 9 million liters of diesel at the average cost of a liter of diesel is times 20 rand. Meaning that they were burning 180 million rand worth of diesel a day. Okay? That's a lot of money. Who is being paid for the supply of that diesel? Because that person all of a sudden becomes a person of interest very quickly.
Should be.
We need to know who is being paid for the supply of that diesel. Then they said, okay, it comes from Petro SA. Where does Petro SA get
And
it
Petro
from?
SA is an SOE.
Yes.
So we must just keep quiet.
But where do they get it from?
Where do
Because
they
they
get
don't
it from?
refine it themselves.
Yeah.
They don't get the oil out the ground. They are not Sasol.
Yeah.
If you told me it's coming from Sasol, I have no problem.
Different
Because I
story.
know that Sasol converts coal to liquid and then they refine the end product.
Yeah.
Sharp. But now you tell me that somewhere in the chain, a name pops up and now this becomes a person of interest. And you're like, wait a minute, call it, let's say it's Astra. And you're like, okay, Astra. Now you start working backwards. And you're like, okay, Astra is owned by Glencore. And you're like, okay, what does Glencore do? Now we know another known unknown is that they import a lot of finished product, a lot of diesel into Durban. You see? And then it's like, okay, what is that diesel costing them per liter? 16 rand, 15, you can work it backwards. We know what the taxes are on diesel. It's easy. It's just a Google search away what the average cost of a metric ton of diesel is if you buy it from Russia or you buy it from the Arabs or whatever. If you work that price out and you come to a figure of, say, 16, 17 rand on the high side,
Sure.
20 is your mark. They're selling 20 at 20 rand
Yeah.
to Petro SA. And then Petro SA is supplying Eskom at what price? That 3 rand that Glencore is making
Yeah.
times 9 million liters a day. It's a lot of money. That's 27 million rand in profit. You see what I'm saying? Now it starts, the plot thickens now. They don't want you to go to that level of depth. Nobody does. We just take it for granted that Eskom keeps the lights on by burning diesel and burning
Sure.
coal. Who is supplying it? We know that when the Guptas were supplying it, they were now the people who held that contract. They keep us distracted by saying they got the contract because they knew the president.
Yeah.
That's fine. Ivan Glasenberg also knows the president. All of these business people, all of the biggest business
they
people,
work
whether it's
together.
the CEO of Discovery, the CEO of FNB,
Yeah.
Investec, they bras, they work together, they know each other. Once you
Facts.
become a powerful businessman at that level, Donald Trump makes the example. He says, before I decided to run for president, I used to give all these motherfuckers money.
Yeah.
They know me. The
Yeah.
Clintons, the Obamas, they know me.
Yeah.
But then I ran for president and they stopped being my friend.
Sure.
It's because he's been behind that curtain. He's been that guy that we never hear about.
Yeah.
You understand? And now he's coming to the mainstream and he's saying, yo, the whole fucking shit is rigged. You see, we haven't had that moment in South Africa. We get these little clues in the form of names, the Oppenheimers, White Monopoly Capital, the Guptas, the Manels. But what is actually going on? And how did they get those contracts? And then once we know that, we need to say, if the Guptas were supplying the coal, what were they being paid per ton of coal? If they were being paid 450 rand, let's just use that as a figure.
Yeah.
What was Glencore being? Who held the contract before them? Who had the most to lose by them getting that contract?
Sure.
We find out that it's Glencore. Okay. How much were they being paid per ton? If we find out that it was more than 450 rand, now there's a problem.
Sure.
Because now you have a motive for somebody to take them out.
Brian Molefe and Matsela Koko raised this. It was one of the reasons they approved vendor financing. I know Brian Molefe explains that what we did, we've identified a role player. Whether they connected or not, we can discuss that and maybe even say this is wrong. It's nepotism, whatever the case may be. But we identified people that can supply good quality coal at a cheaper price to us than what we're paying,
Thank you.
which will save taxpayers and everyone.
And at those volumes,
So
if
we're
you're
willing to
saving
give them a
50
loan.
rand, dude, 50 rand times 100,000 tons a day,
Sure.
a week. What the fuck? That is
So
a
we'll
lot of
do
money.
that. And it's normal. It was above board. It's not something that people dug out. The vendor financing was above board Because we're saying we will do this deal. We will loan you the money, Warras, to and buy a truck as a company because you're going to save us money and save our customers money. It's all above board. There's nothing different or
Yes,
new. And I can
nothing
tell you now, we've
untoward.
done it with many other people as well. I want you to remember this name because I'm going to go read this article after we leave. 2017, August 2017, Gupta owned Oak Bay Investments. Used to own Tegeta, which owned Optimum Mines.
Correct.
Gupta owned Oak Bay Investments, sold Tegeta to a Swiss-based company called Charles King SA. These are the rabbit holes people like us that have no lives go
Yes.
under. For about 3 billion rand. And the owner is a person called Amin Al-Zaruni. This is on Google. This is not
Right.
some random...
Now that nigga is an unknown. Never heard that name before. But I knew he's somewhere in the rabbit hole. And look how simple it was for you to find that information. Who the fuck is that guy? Who is Charles what?
Sure.
How much coal are they supplying? Who are they supplying it to? If Eskom is one of their off-takers, we need to know what sort of volumes are they doing for Eskom. Because then again, it's like, you've replaced the Guptas with this guy.
Yeah.
How did he get the contract?
Sure.
Could it be that the proximity of the mine to the power station is a massive determining factor in who supplies the coal? Because when you travel to Mpumalanga, it's not rocket science. You understand? You've got Kusile power plant there. Next to Kusile, from Kusile onwards, you get big mines, you know what I mean, that are close to the power plant.
Sure.
It makes sense for those guys to get a contract because your logistics costs will be much lower. That's it.
Yeah.
When you drive on that road there by Kusile, you see these trucks called SG Coal, Legend Logistics. They carry coal, brand new side tippers. But when I say trucks, I don't mean 5. I mean 500. There's just trucks and trucks and trucks all day. They're going in, coming out, going in, coming out. SG Coal, Legend Logistics. Who owns that? Because can you imagine the value of that trucking contract? Now, can I then say the one is owned by Penuel. Can I say, Penuel, you see, he knows Zuma, and that's how he got the contract. Fuck that guy. Does he own the trucks? Yes, he does. Are the trucks delivering the coal every day? Is the work being done? It is being done. So what is your issue with your issue is with Penuel? It's not with the actual completion of the work. When the nepotism chat comes in, you must also be able to prove that, as Koko and them were saying, this thing was won unfairly. And now, like the hole that's in Bromfontein in Bree Street where the gas explosion happened, we've paid 200 million to somebody. The hole is still there. 2 years later. What the fuck is going on?
Whether you're connected or not, why is the work not being done when you've paid?
Why is the work not being done? Then if you connected and the work is not being done, you've got a full house. You've got a known. Penuel has bought the president and it's his friend. But you can't just say that these people were given the contract because nepotism and they knew this guy. But they were completing the contract. They were ticking all the boxes. They were delivering the coal at the right price point and. You see. And somehow they captured the state. The other thing is, whose contract did they take? Because Eskom has been burning coal for almost a century. It belonged to someone before that. And Malema and others have mentioned, like, who holds 95% of the contracts with Eskom, be it for coal or diesel or all of these consumables that a massive parastatal and power station requires, because that's where the money is. You know, and we never go that deep into the chats because that's when you start finding who's got the personal relationship with who. And when it comes to, then scandals come about, okay? Something happens because there's always an idiot in the chain, right? Who will jeopardize 5 billion in business for 10 million at a fucking dairy farm. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm like, what's up with Penuel? We have this R1 million deal. Now he knocked KG for 10 grand. Now KG goes and makes a noise and now Penuel has jeopardized our R1 million deal. You know what I'm saying? It's because Penuel is an idiot. It's not because me and our ability to complete the R1 million deal is brought into question. And that's what makes me uncomfortable about the Gupta chat, is that none of the things that they said were going to happen have happened. And it's starting to seem more and more like we were fed a narrative to keep us thinking this way, when in actual fact, now when we get down to the facts, like Aziko boss, something is just missing in this chain. When it comes to our president, the whole Phala-Phala thing, I'm not happy with that. And I said before on this show, I like Cyril. I think he's a fantastic oak. He's a lakabali. If you see him on your walks through Hyde Park in the morning, greets everyone, takes photos, nice timer. I'm just saying that Phala-Phala thing was a clusterfuck, because now it's not even being investigated. Do you know what I mean?
They say there's nothing to investigate.
But how? You can't hold that amount of foreign currency for any reason. Where's the cows that were bought? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, brah. Hey, listen. I've learned through the American politics system and the Russia-Ukraine war and the way Europe is actually fine. All of them are corrupt to a certain degree. Sure. All of them. They all do special favors for whoever does special favors for them. Sure. These are the unknown unknowns that are starting to become known unknowns.
Yes.
Nothing is different here. I think my issue is when I meet like a Matauzen there at KFC, you know what I'm saying? And I think to myself, is this guy getting the best possible government to give him the best chance in his life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He isn't. And when you look at the American example, it's like Joe Biden and his family are worth like 300 mil, whatever, on government salaries. 300 mil in relation to the total budget that America has annually and the amount of money that America generates as a GDP is nothing.
Sure.
So if all of the politicians in America were all worth 300 million, it still wouldn't even make a dent in the total worth of America.
Sure.
Right? You've got one guy, Elon Musk, who's worth 300 billion just in his individual personal capacity, Here, we are not so lucky. We've got guys that are fantastically rich. They're worth billions, and they are extracting from a system that can ill afford it. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have $3 trillion in reserve here. We don't have it. You know what I mean? We're barely sitting on fucking just over 1 trillion in tax revenue that the receiver collects annually. Rand.
Could it be argued that
it's like half of what Elon Musk is worth?
The thing we're meant to be frustrated about the most, outside of nepotism, corruption, and all these other things, is leaders in some of the countries we speak about, China, Russia, maybe America, France. All the corruption, nepotism, and things they do in some way are for the benefits of their country. Yes, I want to be rich, but I want to be rich in America. I want to spend money in America. I want to invest in American companies. Whereas the leaders here don't seem to do all those things for the benefits of this country. They're not going to China, Russia, America, doing deals, being corrupt so that they can take the money and pump it into developing this country invest in local companies.
Not. Their concern is themselves.
Only.
And
even if the country's bleeding.
And that's been proven time and time again. Because, it's one of the political analysts I saw on some excerpt of, this is the thing, podcasting, you see these clips all the time. Oh. But Bruno was saying like, you are expecting from people, you're expecting to rebuild a country.
Yeah.
You're expecting it of people who've never built anything in their lives.
Yeah.
They've never built anything. None of them have built a business by themselves, started there like a Motsepe type of thing. You took what you had and you've built it into this giant thing.
Sure.
There's Motsepe. There is other black businessmen, that I know personally that started out as a security guard.
Yeah.
One dude I know. And today he is the CEO of a massive organization. Yes, but he's not in government. He's a businessman who reinvests his money into the development of other people. So it's almost like on a micro scale. Yeah. None of the people in leadership positions who are fantastically wealthy are doing any of that shit. They sit on boards, they have shares in this, they have shares in that, they push work to this business, push work to that business based on the proximity that they have to the work.
But they've never built fuck all.
Fuck all. And in the American example, here comes Trump, a man who came from building one of the most successful real estate businesses ever. Yeah. And building fame. Donald Trump he's probably the longest running famous person.
Hey.
Honestly speaking, he's probably the most famous man in the world because he's been famous for 40 years. And at the age of 80, He's reached that pinnacle where he became president once.
Yeah.
He's now done it again. His real estate business is still his real estate business.
Yeah.
He changed the whole landscape of New York City. The story of Mar-a-Lago, his property, it's like beachfront property in Florida, and how he acquired it. He bought it for next to nothing because he was clever, the art of the deal type of thing.
You've read the book?
I've not read the book. I've heard all the stories. That's my dude, that's my goat, And here he is now coming into his role as president with actual real world experience of how to fucking turn a place around and become fantastically rich. He's applying that to the building of a country. I genuinely believe that. Yeah. And he's surrounded himself with people who've also built shit never seen before shit, like Elon Musk, like Vivek Ramaswamy. These are self-made people, who are still relatively young, that have done shit that has never been done before. Yeah. And if you look at all his appointments that he's making into J.D. Vance, for example. J.D. Vance is a lawyer by profession. He's written a successful book, so he's a successful author. And he's a successful business owner. He built a business before he got here. He's had real world experience. To speak to your example of Russia and China, Putin and them don't appoint O's because they're bras.
Sure.
They appoint a guy who's excellent at what he does into a portfolio where it's like, imagine you're really good at building fucking, your Gazproms and those big gas and oil things, the things that belong to Abramovich and them. These people had been doing something before that Putin then saw and said, my man, you are the one.
Sure.
I need you to take this shit next level. China also requires the same of its appointees. These are people who come from successful businesses and they swear allegiance to China. And he puts them into portfolios where they can revolutionize the industries that they are in charge of and the portfolios they're in charge of because they've got real world experience. We take people who are freedom fighters and we keep them in for as long as we possibly can with no question about their intellect or aptitude in doing and completing these things. And then the things start fucking out. These various departments, water and sanitation, cluster fuck, Eskom, fucked, SAA, fucked,
Postnet.
DMRE,
Post office,
fucked,
sorry.
Post Office, fucked. Everything's fucked. And we keep appointing more of them to these portfolios.
Who's we?
We as the electorate.
Is it us?
Not us. I mean we, when like is in the South African electorate keeps
But is it us?
appointing. It's not
I'm
us
trying to
at all.
figure out because do you think it's the ordinary citizens that appoint?
It's not, but we've
Putin
designed a
and in
system
China?
where when we choose you oaks have carte blanche on the decisions you make.
One of
So
the
when
things,
the ANC deploys Mang and Mang, even the DA, it's not to say this is like an ANC bashing session.
They also do cater deployment.
They've been in power for the longest time. But the DA, there's a lot of like questionable stuff like in the city of Cape Town, which people raise sometimes where it's like, how did this one get that contract for the buses? Massive contract, very lucrative, There's...
they've got their own Kaba brothers there in the Cape.
They've got that bus system, man, My City bus or whatever.
Sure, My City.
And that shit went to someone and it was like, it was weird, you know what I mean? And Patricia
But it
DeLille's
works.
name was there. It works,
and
yes,
it's
but
fine.
it's also like, okay, who deployed this cat? I was having a conversation about somebody about security contracts. And I noted that... there's a company that's been in the news lately because of the death of Mark Liffman, PPA.
Sure.
It's a security company based in Cape Town. And I was saying that, because obviously, and I don't know Mark Liffman, I don't know the gangsters, I have no fucking idea what happened, I don't know who shot him. But when I was reading the articles around it, what they try to do is they say, this guy is dead now, but he was embroiled in this murder case and he was embroiled in this dispute with this company. And I was speaking to this person because they were like, but it could be, what about the PPA thing? And I thought to myself, if you go to Cape Town, PPA, I saw them physically myself as the company that, on the Atlantic seaboard there by the Clifton Beach and stuff, they were the ones providing the safety in the busy season, like in December when the beach is full. Sure. They've got armed guys dressed properly. They look legit. They look like they're about it. They are there as a crime prevention along that entire coastline, which tells me that it's probably a contract with the city for the provision of security services. Yeah. They are at, the only club I remember seeing them at was Cabo Beach, Shimmy Beach, because they're trying to sort of draw this thing where they're like, this company and the security industry in Cape Town is all about the clubs and the bouncers that are at the clubs. And I'm like, these guys appear to be doing a proper job. They look like a legit company. Their guys look proper. Their vehicles look, everything about the company just says to me, these ones are coded, you know? So when they're doing work for the city, again, like our Gupta example, let's question whether they are doing the work or not doing the work.
Sure.
Let's not bring their name into this thing because this guy died who was involved in all these other things and he was a known kingpin, allegedly this, allegedly that,
Sure.
because I feel like you're now bringing down the name of an entity that seems to have been built from the ground up and is now a big security company that seems to be doing well on merit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We don't apply the same thinking and neither does our media, when looking at the contracts that go to whom and where and the portfolios that go to which minister and why. We hear about a minister, usually when they do something stupid. It's the first time we see that this person is the minister of Ndlovu.
Sure.
They'll either be saying or doing something stupid or they'll be caught for corruption.
Sure.
We don't then go back and say, Minister Penuel comes from a background in engineering. He worked at Sasol for 20 years and now he's in his government portfolio position and he's responsible he's the Minister of Electricity.
Sure.
What did the Minister of Electricity do before he became the Minister of Electricity? Because the only thing I remember of him is he was the mayor of Tshwane when they had that Firefest debacle.
Khwezi.
Yes.
Oh, apparently he's an engineer.
Well,
Apparently
fantastic.
he's
His
got proper
background is
credibility.
engineering, is it? And
Apparently him, but others.
and
Sure.
is he? So would you say that we can attribute the fixing of the Eskom thing to him because he's an engineer? He came in with his wits and his know-how, and here we go.
We're lucky we're on a podcast, so we can hoy all the conspiracies. I'll tell you what I think of what happened to Eskom personally.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see if I can find this guy's profile. Bachelor's degree in civil engineering, master's degree in public administration, PhD in public affairs. Got involved in politics when he was at the University of Durban, Westville, through SASCO and the ANC Youth League.
Right.
So he's got some good credibility. Worked as a local councillor, was also a transport engineer, was the CEO of various public and private entities, worked under the city of Joburg, chairperson of the Limpopo Board of Trade and Investment, CEO of the Johannesburg Market. Yeah, it's got a proper profile. People can
Got
go
a
and find
long list of
lekker profile. And also he smiles, he laughs, we are jive, he's a happy guy.
very happy guy.
I wanted to say this. The one thing Abo Floyd and Abo Julius are struggling to articulate, at least the times I've heard them, is to say the reason they admire Russia and China is those countries, and it ends up being communism and capitalism and now the Soviet Union and poverty and famine.
Which is not the case anymore.
What they're failing to articulate is that in these countries, the government, the leaders, serve the country. Whereas in South Africa, the government and the leaders serve local capital to a degree, but mostly Western capital. ANC, whether it's Cyril, whether it's Jacob Zuma, whether it's Thabo Mbeki, their number one thing is to make sure that the foreign direct investors, the people that run the big companies here, are fine. And then you worry about the local business people, Abo Christo Visa and Abo Johan Rupert and stuff, of which I've got a theory that maybe not Christo Visa so much, but a Johan Rupert, I think, is a proxy. In the same way Cecil John Rhodes was a proxy. In the same way Ernest Oppenheimer was a proxy for the West. So
Well,
they are
that's
like,
why we know their names.
which is also
Yeah.
why we know their names. It's like, look, we trust you. So it's almost like white monopoly capital saying they trust Cyril and asking the DA and Helen Zille to be like, we need you to go into a GNU with Cyril. We trust him. So similarly, Johan Rupert will be told by France, Switzerland, America, we trust you to look after some of our interests in South Africa and make sure that
So it's like
you're on the
everybody
ground.
has a boss.
Someone has a boss,
Yeah.
to some degree. Whereas in China and in Russia, there is no boss. Putin doesn't report to America.
Yeah.
If he has to report to anyone, if ever there's a board, it's billionaires in Russia and other politicians in Russia to be like, are we working in the best interest of the country?
It's actually that the billionaires in Russia report to him.
No, they definitely do.
Yeah.
But
And
I'm
the same
saying
with
if-
G.
So
And when a billionaire steps out of line like a Jack Ma, they disappear for a week.
no, they disappear in China. We know this. And in South Africa, we haven't had that. And I think all Zuma were trying to play a game that they may not understand.
Yeah.
Because the Guptas are not a proxy of India. And they're not a proxy of China. If Zuma maybe had worked with the Guptas, who are huge in India, or whatever Chinese businessman who's huge in China, the flex would have been different, or someone from the Middle East. But they were trying to arm wrestle with the Ruperts and the Visas here, when those guys have got bigger bosses elsewhere that can destabilize things, which is also why BRICS becomes important, because you want allies where you're not your own boss.
You want allies where you know who their bosses are.
You know who their bosses are, and you know how it works.
Yeah.
So
we know that Xi, we know that Putin.
Cyril and Johan Rupert can't destroy South Africa. I'm using them two as an example because they've got bigger people they report to.
Yes.
Johan Rupert's wealth, for example, a small piece of it is in Remgro here. The big chunk is in Switzerland because of his relationship with the Rothschilds, his relationship in France. They love him there. He makes a lot of money through luxury goods, of which luxury goods is a discussion for another day and where money goes there. Cyril Ramaphosa is happy to sit with King Charles, Joe Biden, go to the G20, of which he's been made the head now, because you report to certain people who are like, we need South Africa to work for us. Whether it's the Germans with coal, whether it's people that need our platinum, whether it's people that need our agricultural produce, etc. It is not the electorate. Cyril doesn't have to report back to us that, guys, I've made the biggest deal, because renewables is not a deal for South Africans.
No, it's not. It's a shit
Signing with AGOA is not a deal for South Africans. It's not like, guys, I've just signed a deal where we're about to industrialize KZN and everyone's going to have a job. That's not who he's reporting to and who he has to worry about. There you send whoever you send to go and quieten those guys down in whatever way. So that's the first part. When renewables was pitched and Seoul got 8.5 billion, or they pledged $8.5 billion, of which a nuclear activist I've had here, Princess Mtombeni, made an amazing TikTok video. It ended up being on the front page of The Star, speaking about how only 4% is a grant, the rest are loans. And most of that money, 70-something%, is going to end up going to those foreign countries, whether it's through consulting or NGOs or whatever. Most of it's not coming here at all. That deal, there are certain people in this country which the media, mainstream media, could probably look at as corrupt, criminals, mafias. There are people that have the ability to destroy this country. But they won't, because they also want to make money. They also want to be fine.
It's not in anybody's interest to destroy it.
They sit in certain positions, I believe. This is a theory. This is a conspiracy theory. There's no proof anywhere. People are like, oh, where's your proof?
Say allegedly.
Allegedly. What happened is some of these guys realized that Andre de Ruyter was sent. Andre de Ruyter didn't come out of thin air. You know, I hear black people complain about him. He was appointed by Pravin Gordhan, Togo Titiza, Ibrahim Patel, and I think Tito Mboweni when he was still in government. They appointed him. They get to pick the CEO of Eskom. He was picked with his shit. There wasn't some weird, it was those ANC guys sent him. When he got there with Abu Jan Obelorza, who was the chief operating officer, I believe that they were there to push a renewables agenda because the West demanded it. They want our coal. They want to ensure things operate a certain way. They were like,
and
look,
they
there are
need
going
to
be
leave
benefits.
us with something that we must celebrate. Like, hey, we're giving you this money. Come on, renewables, let's go. But give us your coal. You shouldn't be burning it.
Don't burn coal.
Yeah.
Decarbonize, become the world leader in decarbonization.
That's it, yeah.
But there's money to be made, right? Because as I was listening to you speak about Eskom, I wanted to mention Safiga Oosthuizen. So Oosthuizen is Afrikaans family that trucks, and then they needed a BEE partner to get SOE deals, and they found a lacquer O called Saki Maxozoma, who used to be a treasurer in the ANC. Became one of the first BEE beneficiaries. I think at some point he was a chairperson of Standard Bank, and it's got a company called Safiga, which partnered with Oosthuizen. They one of the big companies that move coal.
Yes, Oosthuizen Vervoer or something. I think I've seen that name on trucks.
So there's that. When you look at, I don't know if Imperial Logistics as well at some point, and then there was Goldfields under Imperial. All these trucking companies, you have to ask the question, why would the government not invest in trains? Why don't we just have state-owned trains that move this shit so it's cheap and it's easy and it's reliable? You don't have to pay people.
We do, but the system is...
No, they destroy the stuff. Because the Afrikaners were trying to build a country, in my opinion, outside of apartheid, which was horrible. I think they were trying to build a country and an economy like a Russia and a China where they control.
Precisely.
We'll pull out the coal, On the oil, we'll refine it. We'll set up Sasol so that we have our own refinery. We'll create our own nuclear energy like Koeberg in the Western Cape. We'll have our own nuclear weapons, which they started making when the NC government came in. They dismantled them.
Because they were told to.
We'll industrialize our Transnet. We'll have cheap energy through Eskom. We'll manufacture our own weapons through Arms Corps, about Penuel. We'll have ISCO and refine and beneficiate our own steel. We will be able to stand on our own, and that became a problem. Now with the ANC coming in, you also can't have a black government having that much power. Dismantle, and after dismantling, privatize. So part of the privatization is fuck the trains,
But
bring trucks.
on your point of having the black government, it's like those Afrikaners that did that under apartheid, they were experts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I know somebody personally, a German old man, he's now in his late 80s. He was brought here at the point at which they started industrializing mining, sometime in the 50s.
Yeah.
Post-war Germany, they had no graph. They were like, please, we need engineers. They came here and they built things like high-pressure valve systems so that we could go deeper underground and get more gold and get more whatever, you know. But he came part here as a contingent of Germans to come and teach the Afrikaners, who then learned, and then kind of like, not to say when their time was up, he stayed, but he stayed as the CEO of his own company.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you come here, you work for the government for 5 years, let's say. When the 5 years is up, thank you so much. Cheers.
Sure.
You can stay and you can have your own business and your own company and, you know, free and fair. But we don't need you now to work in the state-owned one, because you've been here for long enough and you've trained enough of our people so we can take over and do it ourselves. So the skills that they didn't have, they brought in, they learned them, and then they mastered them.
Yeah.
And as you say, they were building, it's almost like they were building an independent state that didn't rely on the West, which you've hit the nail on the head, is that all of those things all of these deals that are now coming our way for renewable, we don't need that.
We don't.
We have plenty of coal. We've got like 500 years of coal. It's our coal, meaning it will be at the lowest possible cost. And we've got coal-fired power stations. We should be building more.
Sure.
Like China, they build 100 a week or something. You know, Trump made that example. It's like they're building 100 coal-fired power stations. This is what they're doing. While we fuck around talking about, renewables, whatever, they are killing us from a productivity perspective because they just don't care. They're doing what's best for China.
Sure.
Fuck the rest.
Sure.
So yes, but carry on. The privatization part now.
So outside of privatizing the logistics, my thinking is you also want to privatize every other key component of a functional economy so that you can control it in any way. And it becomes an Achilles heel. Because if America owns our energy, they can switch off the power if we ever misbehave.
Short.
If America owns our logistics infrastructure, whether it's trucks, whether it's buses, whether it's trains, they can shut us down with whatever it is. So I think with renewables as a story of we need to decarbonize, it was the whole thing of we can't have a Jacob Zuma and Umkhonto weSizwe or Julius Malema and the EFF having that type of access to Eskom, which powers maybe 40% of Africa. So let's break this shit up so that if ever the EFF come into power, if ever Umkhonto weSizwe comes into power, or an Ibrahim Traore type character, we will have so many independent power producers that we can switch off power, we can control the price. And if we control the price, it doesn't matter.
Them to consolidate.
They won't be able to do fuck all because it will be like, but guys, if McDonald's shuts down or KFC shuts down, if we can't get Nikes, if we can't, we'll suffer. If China, we can't import from China, what will we wear? Because you've privatized so much and you've destroyed state-owned entities so much, you rely on them and then they control the price. So we are meant to be having cheap coal. And because our big mines are foreign-owned, sadly, they get to control the price of coal, which goes to Eskom. If you do the same with independent power producers, you get to control the power of energy. So if ever they give us the mines, you guys can have your mines and your land, but we still need power. And they're like, okay, we'll supply the power to you at this cost. They still chow from us and we make
they'll
nothing.
They'll also say to you, they'll say, you can have the mine, but who's your off-taker? You see, you can mine all the coal you want if nobody's buying it.
Because we might need it. We might.
There was an
maybe
example
made
by a billionaire some years ago with I think it was Richard Branson in his open letter. But even if it wasn't, the point he was making is that if you want to come in and take the wine farms, take the fucking wine farms. Who's going to buy the wine? Because the person that we supply in France with this wine and this stuff that we produce here is our guy. And we'll just tell him, don't buy from that booth.
Sure.
So you can have the wine, But if no one is buying the end product,
fucked.
You think that my business that makes 200 million can become your business that makes 200 million. No.
Yeah.
You can take the business, but we will take the customers with us. And in the same way, like you're saying with the renewables example, it shifts that control to these smaller outfits.
Yeah.
But it makes it look like, hey, we're making it open for everyone. Anybody can be
yes.
an IPP. Go and be an IPP. You know what I mean?
Bullshit. So from there, I think there are certain people that were either placed during the Zuma administration, maybe prior, I'm not sure, or people that are working maybe with economic powerhouses or intel of sorts from places like BRICS nations. I know Russia's got its tentacles in Africa. No one speaks about it. They only speak about the Wagner group and supplying arms. But I think it's deeper than that. I think what the German engineers were in the past, Russian engineers are going to be potentially for the African future in terms of
And
nuclear
Chinese-
power stations
Chinese
and
are
Chinese as well. I think some of these guys infiltrated, and this was probably, maybe guys woke up too late, maybe. The West and the white monopoly capital in this country, that by the time they were complaining about the Guptas, there were so many black guys who had gotten BEE contracts with trucks, with coal mines, at certain power stations that they can cripple it. You know, like you can't sleep when a mosquito's in the room. I think these are the type of guys where you're like, if you're going to push the renewables thing, if you're going to force feed this thing, we're going to switch these things off. And no one will understand, why don't we have electricity? No. And then Andre Tereta says, no, they are mafia cut. And he's probably right from his perspective. From another perspective is like, if we let these guys do their thing, we're all not going to eat. And we'll rather shut this shit down until he's forced to leave. And once he's left, bring in Mteto Nyati, bring in a Khosia, and so if that's what it is, we'll move out the way and we'll carry on running. It's like the taxi industry protesting and saying, I'm a taxi angeke ahambe. It's just tax, and you're like, but why are the companies not operating? Why is there no money? Because the taxis are like, we're not going to go. And you're like, but it's just taxis. Oh, they are mafia. Sure,
But
they
they
are mafia.
transport the workforce.
But they transport the workforce and
and they
if they're
close
not
the
moving,
roads so nobody can get to work.
you're
Yes.
fucked. So my theory is that there are certain, I don't know if you'd call them black, let's say alternative to white monopoly capital in this country. The alternative forces that have infiltrated certain spaces that have the ability to collapse certain parts of our economy. And when Andre Tereta was kicked out and there was like a lessening of the noise about renewables, I think they were like, okay, we'll move out the way. And then, whoa, presto, we've had over 200 days of no load shedding and it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
At
And we
all.
attribute it to Khwezi.
Yes, oh, he's done well. He's done well doing what? What did he do? Did he
my thing.
open new power stations? Did we get brand new coal?
I don't know.
Did they magically start maintaining?
It's an unknown. It's an unknown.
Because even Uzuma, with Mulif and Koko, there were those 2 years we didn't have load shedding. And there are theories on why there was no load shedding. No, they took out loans. They were burning lots of diesel. They might be right. But explain to us what the fuck's going on, because we don't understand.
What they want to do is say they took out loans and they were burning lots of diesel. Just shut the fuck up. Oh, okay, that's why. And then that's the message that goes out.
Yeah.
That's what the media reports, and we must all shut up. But as you say, it's a lot more complex than that. My question is going to be, those black, let's call them the black guys, are you saying that they amassed enough power in... Because there's a very famous statistic that they quote saying that the most black millionaires were made under Zuma in the 9 wasted years.
Sure.
Are there enough of those most black millionaires where they've consolidated their power, like the taxi industry, to say, well, now we can pull some levers and we can actually get these people to go along with what? Because I think if that's true, it means before then and after then, there's fuck all that we can do. We just have to watch what's happen. You know,
I've got a question for
because
you, man.
there was something that came up in the State Capture Commission where it was like a moment of enlightenment for me. Because what they were saying is, you don't just capture the state by getting tenders and getting contracts. No. What you do is, in every organization of government, you build the deep state. You start installing people in charge of SARS, in charge of SAPS, in charge of health, in charge, whatever,
Yeah.
that start making decisions and start moving this thing in the direction we wanted to move. And when I say installing them in positions, it's not only the CEO. It's also the guy that makes the payments, and it's the admin manager here.
Procurement officers,
that's-
ordinary guys
yeah.
earning 30,000 a month.
Thank you. You put those brewers in all these key positions, and over time, the more of those brewers you put in, it starts tearing the ship apart. If you so will it, it works in your favor, but it starts destabilizing these entities to the point where we had to have the State Capture Commission because they were saying everything's fucked because people have been put in, and as I say, over time and massive volume of people. It's not one person. It's not Cyril Ramaphosa is in charge and now look. It's that the entire apparatus that comes along with Ramaphosa or with Zuma or with the Guptas moves this thing in that direction, and that's why we are where we are. But who's to say that the West, which we are now learning because of platforms like X, hasn't installed those people themselves? Here and everywhere. The way they've done in other countries. The way France has done in Africa, where Traore came out and said, well, fuck this shit, I'm drawing a line in the sand. Because he knows the game. He's like, I see what you niggas are doing. You need us so that you have enough uranium and so that your nuclear power stations can run. And you need us so that you have enough gold. And you need us for all these raw materials. Because what's France going to do? Sell wine. It's not going to work. He's the first one. But, if everyone had to join him, I think France will collapse. Imagine if all those African countries had to say, fuck this, we're out. The unfortunate part is there's a fail-safe for it. Where if you do that, like if those guys had said, well, fuck it, we're going to shut down Eskom, and that continues for long enough, the whole place collapses and then everybody loses. How long can Traore and other African countries afford to hold out without the assistance that trade brings? How long can you afford to hold out as Dangote? How long can you keep that refinery open without being allowed an off-taker?
But this is where BRICS comes in. This is where when we speak trade wars between China and America, they could escalate into real wars. Because I personally, I could just be a cynic. I don't think black South Africans are that smart or that organized. They can put you as procurement. You're an MK, EFF, ANC, Zuma faction guy. They put you at Transnet, to Eskom, to do so. You are getting kickbacks. So, 10th hour, 20th hour.
Yeah,
so
GTI,
you don't mind. It's not a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
You're a small guy, but you put enough of these mosquitoes. But I don't think you're that smart to counter intelligence.
Yeah.
That's where I think you need Russian, Middle Eastern, Chinese intelligence to come in and fight against. Because, there's a trade war in this country that people are not aware of. And one of them is in data. Because data and networks almost become everything. We've got a company called Cisco, which is American. It does networks, IT for some of the biggest companies. Couple of years ago, a Chinese company came in called Huawei. We know them from the phones, but they do networks and data and those things.
Yes, that's their core business.
When they came in, Cisco was like, but these guys are buying politicians and what. In my head, I'm like, but how did you guys initially get the work when you're going to complain about these guys?
Similar to the Gupta contracts. It's like, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and
this is
remember
just
what
one
happened
example.
to Huawei? America made Huawei public enemy number one.
Sure.
They were like, Huawei stealing our data.
Of course.
They're spying on our people. And then that created like a global domino effect.
Yeah.
Where Huawei was now seen as, these ones, they Chinese spies.
They dodge, yeah. So I think to what you're saying about Chinese spies,
I think
Huawei,
WhatsApp actually doesn't work on Huawei's, if I'm not mistaken.
there are some apps that don't work.
Some apps don't work at all.
I think Huawei and Cisco are just an example of a fight. I think there are many other fights in spaces that we may not be aware of. For example, the influx of Chinese cars might look like a small thing to us. It might just look like, we had South Korean, Hyundai, Kia. Now we've got BAIC, we've got Chery, we've got Beijing. It's cool. But who's bringing these cars and what are these people here to do? To sell cars only? To just collect data and sell cars and be on the networks. And these guys have to pay money at SARS. They need to get some tax rebates. They need to meet with certain people.
Yes.
Are they only here to sell cars?
And what?
Are they only here for your phone to connect to the car so that you can answer? I think some of these guys are so smart and so organized that
sophisticated.
They are helping us. I don't think, as brilliant as it is, I think Zuma is incredibly smart, but I don't think he's as capable of turning South African black people into like a Chinese Russian force. But with the backing of a China, Russia, the Middle East, Saudi, Dubai, the Emirates, rather, the United Arab Emirates, these guys can be like, we've figured certain things out. We'll sort out some of the stuff. So even things like with Zimbabwe and the gold mafia, don't worry if these guys are not buying your gold. We'll buy the gold. And to be honest, some of us have got relationships with these guys. Sell them to us. We'll give you a fair price and then we'll sell it to them. So you'll still have market. And America, some of them that were not busy with wokeness and transgenders and stuff have realized this, and it's late because they're trying to play catch up. But the Chinese and the Russians are so infiltrated and they're so non-dependent that it's becoming bad. And with the infrastructure loans that look like dizzy loans, China's building a port, an airport. That's infrastructure. We're building an airport. We're loaning you money. Whether you pay us or not, we can now move your shit out. Where you couldn't before. You needed Americans to come and build whatever.
You needed the IMF to give you a loan.
You needed an IMF. We've built gas pipes in Mozambique. We've come, this is one of my theories. The sheikh that came to the Eastern Cape to buy a game farm and build and fix.
Yeah. That one also.
To fix a fucking landing strip and an airport. You're like, come on, man.
That one we didn't really go deep in.
Now,
I found that so interesting. I was like, Eastern Cape.
That's random. Bringing 500 people for a party in the Eastern Cape.
The second time a plane landed for a party. And
so in my head, I'm like, look, there's something going on. And even some of the theories, I don't like Ruben Rickety or whatever his name is. He was the US ambassador here.
Yeah, he said goodbye the other day.
He's resigned, but apparently it's protocol because there's a new president in. So he's resigned. Maybe he'll be brought back. He
was also very. A lot of them kind of, I think for those of us who consume enough of that information, you can just spot one from a mile away.
Sure.
It's like for me, I don't need anyone to tell me otherwise. It's not that I dislike the DA. I like to look at people on a micro level. It's like, what is Chris Papas doing there in Umgeni? Sure. I like it. No problem. I don't care that he's DA.
Sure.
I like what he's doing. I like what he's doing for the community. Sure. And I think there's a lot of people within these organizations who are genuine people just trying to do the right thing. Yeah. Yes. But when the leadership of the DA comes out and says things like, we support Ukraine, I'm like, why? It is not in your interest, our interest, anybody's interest. You see, when the ANC says we're going to the ICJ, we're taking Israel to court, I say, why?
Sure.
That's when, you know what I mean? Those are the
red flags.
Yes, those are red flags, in my opinion, because it now becomes a thing of why. Literally, why is the
our
most
resources
important?
Now
yes,
are going there.
Yes. Into a very complex thing that's not as simple as 1, 2, 3. But the reasons you cite are the 1, 2, 3 literally copy paste send to all narrative reasons that the entire mainstream media pushes about Ukraine and Russia. Russia just went in there unprovoked, and I'm like, how are they unprovoked? They are surrounded by NATO countries. Sure. America has always been aggressive towards Russia. They cannot have a situation where they've got America, NATO on their fucking doorstep in the same way that America can't have Russia in Mexico or Canada.
Facts.
They would never allow it, so why should Russia allow it?
Yeah.
That independence is such a massive threat to them. Same with China, Taiwan. The same with Russia, Ukraine.
Yes.
And when our local politicians at a leadership level issue like a blanket statement, saying, actually, we see Cyril there at the BRICS thing, but we don't associate ourselves because Russia invaded. Like, what the fuck are you doing? They were like, because Russia invaded Ukraine, we stand with the people of Ukraine. And people were making a joke saying, why didn't Cyril take Steenhuisen with him? I mean, it's GNU. So why didn't he take him with him to BRICS? And I was like, no, what the fuck is Steenhuisen talking about? Like, this is not the time to raise your support for Ukraine unless those who control you are saying,
you're a proxy for someone else.
Say something. Yeah. Exactly. In the same way, like you say, like these WMC guys of ours, they might receive instruction as well.
That's why it's so easy for them to go into certain markets, by the way.
But with them, imagine a situation where if influence is 50%, independence is 50%. So let's say 60-40. So 60% of their wealth, their business, what they've done, the decisions they made, and whatever the impact they've had, 60% of it is because they are genuinely brilliant and they designed a brilliant system. 40% of it, influence. Yeah. That 40% influence can't just be discounted. Okay? In other words, there could be Isandla Satu guiding their decisions. With the current, once things changed hands in 94 and we got what we got, I do not believe that our black government and leadership, I believe they are 100% influence and 0% independence. There's no, and I tweeted this and I said, it's an example, I don't even know where I heard it, but it's one of those things that just stuck in my mind is that there's a difference between having power and being in charge. You see, Joe Biden was in charge of America for 4 years. He has no power. Trump is now in charge, but Trump is in charge 50% and in power and has power 50%.
We're going to see in time.
That's it. We'll see, but that's what it's looking like.
Sure.
Elon Musk, a lot of his money that for the development of Tesla and SpaceX and whatever comes from government grants. Let me not say a lot, but a portion of it that we know about comes from there. So I would assume that 30% of Elon is in charge. You understand? Because he's getting, and he has to also listen to what they tell him. But 70% is him saying, fuck it, I'm the richest man in the world. I'm going to do whatever I want. It's enough so that the direction that that their country is going can at least be determined by them. With us, the direction that the country is going, because it's 100% in charge, they've got no power. 100% of that decision does not even 2% of it rather, rests with us as the citizens. We've got no fucking choice in what these people do. Everything they seem to do does not seem like it's for the benefit of the country. And everything that they seem to do seems to benefit them massively because all of them are fantastically wealthy. At some point you have to also wake up and realize what the fuck is going on here? Because all of the decisions you make that are terrible decisions that end up resulting in shit falling apart like the city of Joburg. No one is accountable for these things. But you are still rich. Kanjan.
And you're still favored.
Thank you.
By business.
And you're still in.
By the West.
And you are still in charge. What is going on? So that difference between being in charge and being in power, I think and having power is important because China and Russia have flexed that is the best example. Putin has power. As much as they are hitting him with the Ukraine thing, that guy is not backing down and he's not fucking scared of him. When he makes a decision, he doesn't have
to consult with external
They've
people.
tried Wagner Group, that was crashed. He was in a plane crash, gone with him. Everyone else that has tried to unseat Putin, he has dealt with them. You know what I mean? He's got power. And there's nothing that they can do. They can't influence him and say, be our puppet. It hasn't worked. 25 years later, he's still the president. And now that power is manifesting itself in the inroads they're making into Africa. Because this is where the shit comes from. You can't operate without Africa. And there's a speech by, who was the poor president in Apartheid? It was Verwoerd, then he died. He was replaced by Botha. And after Botha, wasn't it Venter, no? White Oak, bro. Not de Klerk, before de Klerk. De Klerk was the first example of puppet. He, unfortunately. I'm telling you. It shows. You know, those guys, like, say what you will about them. We all know that apartheid was a shit thing. We know that apartheid, it damaged generations and lives forevermore. But if we're trying to have a discussion about it, we have to look at these people in terms of this guy, when he was in, what decisions did he make, and were those decisions beneficial for the country?
Yes.
Or were they beneficial for him? Not P.W. Botha, man. It's the guy that's after P.W. Botha.
I'm trying to fucking find the list.
Because Botha was the guy that... Botha was the guy that was on that interview. Remember, you know, like sometimes people on TikTok will play like, they predicted this about Africa. You know, he was the one that said, these ones, we'll leave them. And you'll see what will happen. The place will be invaded by foreigners because there'll be nowhere else, you understand, to go. They'll come here for economic opportunities.
So it was de Klerk. Before de Klerk, it was Botha. Before Botha, it was Viljoen. Marais Viljoen. I think before Viljoen, it was BJ Foster.
Foster! That's the one. I think it's Foster. I actually have the video of it. If I can find it, it's in my fucking screen recordings because I've watched it 50 times. John Foster, former Prime Minister of SA, speaking about the South African border war. That is the video. It's a video. This video.
Okay. You won't get it. Are we supposed to listen to that?
No. I'll tell you what it says, like the summarized version. But basically what he says is, what they want is they want the southernmost tip of Africa. And I don't know, right? He starts his sentence by saying, I don't know if the West is aware. But if we allow, because remember, they were like the communists. This was the anti-Russia thing. He was like, if we allow them to get control of this part of the world, they will cut off the trade route to the east, and Europe and America will be fucked because they will be in control of this port. So when they are fighting us on our policies and how we do stuff, they need to wake up and realize that secretly the communists are targeting us. That's why they are arming the ANC. That's why they are supporting these terrorists. You understand? It's because they want control here in this region. And when they control this region, the southernmost tip of Africa, they will block you, my friend, because you'll be giving them strategic power and control. And then he goes on to say, and we're not going to bother ourselves with getting them to listen to us. And we're not going to bother ourselves with getting you to understand that we know the story here. We are going to stand and fight. We have an army of 700,000. And if we have to fight to the last man to defend this place, then that's what we will do. But we will not. That's it. So he was rallying up the people to say, don't worry about the sanctions. Don't worry about the boycotts. We've got you.
And then, they've got that thing.
Right? And as I say, all of the decisions like the ISCOs and the Escoms and all the stuff that we say, they built. Yeah. They built the shit.
Hendrik van der Pijl.
They did it to benefit the country. Yes, unfortunately, included in that benefit was not the majority.
Oh,
they didn't really care. Yeah, the screwing of blacks, unfortunately, was the chink in the armor there, you know? And we can all agree that that was fucked up.
Sure.
But oftentimes, when you bring up any, let's not call them positives, let's call them any admirable achievements of the apartheid government, you are immediately told to shut the fuck up because how dare you defend
an apartheid apologist.
Exactly.
Sure.
I'm not an apartheid apologist. It's not to say that I support anything that they did.
Yeah.
But I like to look at the whole design.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I want to look at the whole Gupta case and understand who was supplying coal at what price and who was on before they got on. Sure. That's all I want to know.
That's all.
That's it.
Simple
Just tell
questions.
me what that is.
Simple questions.
I want to know, why did you arrest Tutuzani and put him in shackles at Ohar Tambo?
Yes.
Yet he's a free man till this day. What are you charging him with?
Sure.
And if you're not charging him, give him his money.
Sure.
And let him operate. Let him open a bank account. Let him live his life.
Yeah.
But if you don't plan on charging him, and if you do, let's get a move on.
Why is he still blacklisted in 2024?
Thank you. And in the same way, I look at what this guy is saying and I try to understand the politics of the day. And then you understand these Boera and what they were thinking. Yes, they ignored the majority of people and apartheid was a shit thing. And the way they treated people, unacceptable. But when it came to their foreign policy and how we are going to operate here, what you are going to tell us and what we are going to agree to, most of the shit that the West told them, they told them, get fucked. And it wasn't only, let the blacks vote. That was not the only question the West was asking. And that was not the only moves on the chessboard at the time.
Sure.
There was other shit going on. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From a foreign policy perspective, that these niggas hopped on and they said, you guys, we see how you move. From the League of Nations post-World War to World War II, who benefited, who made money, to the military-industrial complex, to what you people survive on, to coming to this continent and raping it for its resources to build up your economies, but then telling the continent, hey, just put up solar and wind, my niggas, you'll be good. No, we won't. You build your shit on fucking fossil fuels.
Yeah.
We should also be allowed the opportunity to build ours on fossil fuels.
That's-
You see, that's the type of shit that these people were talking about at the time. And you've got to separate it from the racism that clearly they were super racist, bro. They hated blacks. Like, we get it.
Sure.
But the guy was saying, this is the length to which we are prepared to go to defend this country. You will not tell us what to do. And they built a fucking army second to none. They built weapon systems. They built nuclear weapons. You understand? Like, when you start looking at the shit that they did, they were fucking serious about it. And I refuse
for fun.
Thank you. And I refuse to believe that they did all of that because they wanted to oppress blacks. No. That's the, you see now. There's the controversial
Let me
part.
build nuclear weapons and build cheap electricity because yes, I fucking hate blacks
You
that
see?
are in my garden, that are looking after my kids.
That's the thing.
That fucking
Look,
work in my company and sit on the back of my back. I hate them so much.
Thank you.
Let me go build infrastructure.
let me build Eskom so that we don't need to rely on imported steel. Let me build Eskom so that we generate our own power. Let me build Sasol and find a way to make oil from fucking coal. That C2L technology, coal to liquid technology, that is a Sasol thing. You know what I mean?
I've heard of that.
Dude,
Sasol is like a game changer.
game changer.
We were also one of the top in nuclear development back in the day. Top in the world.
Our army, we had a helicopter called a fucking, what is it? A Roy
something, yeah.
Yes, that thing, they stole our design and made Apaches. You know, like shit like that. Guns, we couldn't get certain guns here. We made our own guns. We made R4s and R5s and LM13s. Do you understand? These are the weapons that we made when we couldn't get the weapons somewhere else. This
Roy Falk.
Roy Falk, that's it.
Okay,
Red Wing.
last question. Let's shut it down so
but
we can go.
Do you get what I'm saying, Penuel? Is that like
Bro, you're speaking to the wrong crowd here.
If you think that those brutes did that because they wanted to oppress blacks, that was their number one priority, then you've fallen into the trap.
Yeah.
Don't fall into that trap. Think for yourself. Do your own research. It's going to make you more intelligent and it's going to make you start seeing things from a different perspective, which I promise you will open your third eye and you'll be like, what the fuck is going on here? That's the thing. And no one is doing that, dude. Like
Warrick
every
stock.
time the conversation comes up, it's like, no, but apartheid, you're an apartheid apologist. Okay.
What the fuck are they feeding you guys a fried nase Newcastle? Huh?
Why, John?
Why do you guys have this weird knowledge that other people don't have?
No, listen, brother. I'm the only one from Freiheit so far who knows what I know.
Last question.
I grew up there with Afrikaners, you know? And I think something that people also, this is the other, remember, we must all be sheep and we must all think this because you're saying so. And I don't, you know me, I don't subscribe to that because when you know people personally, you know, Denzel Washington speaks about this when they asked him about like Black Lives Matter and the systematic racism in America. And he said, you know, you can have a black president, you can have whoever in charge, but unless people are going, I'm going to start as a black man talking to you as a white man and you start engaging me on a personal level, nothing's going to change. We've got to start having these conversations. And fortunately, in Vryheid, I had these conversations. I lived with these people my whole life. And I got to know a little bit about their work ethic, their conviction to morals, you know, their loyalty to each other. These are all good attributes to have as human beings.
Sure.
You can't say that they have all of this stuff because they hate blacks. You know, they don't do it for
guys
that
are even
reason.
patriotic to South Africa and the African continent. It's crazy.
Hard. That's why they developed rugby to the point that they developed it and not soccer. You understand? Not because they hated blacks, but because they didn't care.
Sure.
And that in itself is not right. Yes, we get it. They should have done more for the majority. They chose not to, and we all agree that that's where they went wrong. And we what is the word? We condemn them for it. But we have to move on from that point and we have to see the other points. What did these guys do right? Because the country was thriving.
Sure.
You understand? From an industrialization point of view.
Sure.
Now we've got leadership that's telling us, no, we'll take this loan for the development of green energy. Why are you guys not using it?
Yes.
You motherfuckers are giving us money, but you are burning coal. You're firing up your coal. No, dude, you're taking us for a poos now.
Yeah.
You understand? And then when we go into who benefits, anytime somebody benefits in their personal capacity, and this is the thing with our relationship as blacks with money.
Yes.
I'll tell you now, I say all the shit on your podcast and I say all the shit on Twitter.
Right.
But if they come to me now with 100 bars and they say, here's 100 bars.
You're like, Pentwana, we have to go green.
Boss, these
We
are the
have to go
decisions
green.
that we need to make moving forward. Fuck you guys. Me, I'm taking that 100 bars. Mzoyibonela. Because
So you
I
don't
come from
blame,
Freiheit.
you don't blame the leadership.
I don't blame them, but I also can't say I don't blame them, let them do whatever they want. No, I don't blame them, but they need to then step aside.
They won't. There's 100 bars at least on the table.
Then we are all fucked. If they could step aside and install, you know, like we spoke about Doge and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe Elon Musk is running Doge for money. He doesn't need the money. But he knows the power that Doge can wield over fixing up, draining the swamp and attacking the deep state. And he's going to do it because I believe he knows it benefits him in the long run because he owns X, which he can then make that WeChat platform because he can fuck the banks. He can fuck the social media company. He can fuck so many people that if you look at the span of his career since PayPal, he's got a lot of enemies that it looks like he wants to go back for them and say, fuck you guys. I told you this thing can work like 1, 2, 3. He still makes money. You understand? And he's still the richest man in the world. He wouldn't be able to finish the fortune he has if he had to live for 1,000 years. Sure. So it's like at that point, money is no longer an object. And most of our guys have got enough where they can comfortably retire and put people in who do it for the benefit of this country. Because right now, we are losing. Joburg is on the verge of fucking complete water shutdowns. They want to go underground and save fucking miners that are here illegally, mining illegally, doing everything illegally because the NGOs wield so much power. The media, the NGOs, everybody starts speaking about these guys like they are fucking victims. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? These people, they are serial rapists. What do we know of Zamazamas? No one is talking about when they come out from underground, who buys the stuff that they mine? Who are the off-takers? And when you start asking who are the off-takers, then you start realizing that's why we have to send them food. That's why they are being portrayed as victims. It's because people with power who happen to not be in charge, they actually make the decision, not the courts or the law. And every time I hear that, you know that NPA auntie, Shamila Batoy?
Yes.
Every interview she's done that I've heard in the past 4 years or however long she's been in, she says the same thing. They ask her, hey, what's the progress with the stories, with the crime and organized crime and whatever the shit NPA investigate? And she says, you know, when I came in, I found out that the department had been gutted in a way where we don't have the resources and we don't. She's been saying that shit, I swear. Her whole job is to come out and make that same statement. She's like Robert Mugabe. She just repeats speeches. She's like, we don't have the resources, and the way that they've broken the department down and they've gutted the department of key portfolios where we used to have 5 people on a team, we now have 1. So, hey, we're getting around to it, fam. This is, you talking about cases that have been sitting with them for over 10 years.
I remember Steinhoff donating 40 million for them to investigate
Steinhoff. You see what I'm saying? It's a fucking clown show, bro.
We'll give you guys 40 million gratis to come investigate us for wrongdoing.
Fucking clown show.
No, let's shut this down. So we didn't speak about, and I don't know if we'll ever get a chance.
What didn't we speak
I really
about?
love chatting to you, man. The Phala-Phala.
Okay, next time. Let's first see, because we need to see where that one is going anyway. Okay.
The Phala-Phala, Afrikaans schools.
At least we spoke about Afrikaners. Hey, listen. I smoke you guys. Okay. So at least we gave you all a shout out.
You touched on Zamazamas, but we didn't go in depth.
Yes. Also, let's see how that develops.
Sure. Spaza shops. Carte Blanche has done amazing pieces on the Zamazamas. If anyone ever, they available on YouTube. Carte Blanche, illegal miners Zamazamas. If you go watch that, some brilliant work done there.
And if you want to follow someone on social media, on X, there's a guy named K9 Reaper. R-E-A-P-E-R. K9 Reaper.
K9 Reaper.
Excellent work with Zamazamas. They are the sentinels, the last defense. They're the guys that go out to go and fucking find these guys when they are.
K for kangaroo,
K
the number
kangaroo,
9.
The number 9,
Sure.
Reaper, R-E-A-P-E-R. They're the actual guys who fight against Zamazamas daily when they are terrorizing communities.
You touched on Mike Lupin. What's his surname? Limpin, whatever. That guy that was killed.
Mark Liffman.
Mark Liffman.
Yes.
I think it's a Jewish chain that was gunned down.
In Cape Town,
In
correct.
Cape Town.
Yeah.
The story around
supposed alleged kingpin, so it was a big story. Because I see now on YouTube, there's so many pages. I think, as a society, we love those stories.
Of course.
The gangsters and the what. So a lot of interest on that topic. Also, developing story. No one knows. They know who killed him, but obviously there's no motive yet.
Yeah.
So it's a developing. I expect to see something about that actually on Carte Blanche, because Carte Blanche not too long ago had another guy on who was making some very serious allegations against Abu Mark Liffman and them. He was a owner of a bar called the Beer House in Long Street in Cape Town. German guy. And he came out to expose the extortion rackets that happen in the club scene and the nightlife scene in Cape Town, where if you own a bar, we come to you and say you must use us for protection and pay us or else. Go check it out as well. Court launched a story on that, the extortion rackets.
I want to chat to you about breeding mixed race kids.
Fantastic. I've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah, that's the end
Got to
of
kill
that
2
topic.
birds with one stone. No.
we won't talk about it
I
today.
want to expand on it.
No,
because-
don't do it now.
Okay.
So the line, okay, the first ones I referenced, the Cyril issue was one you raised that we must speak about. Phala-Phala you raised. The gang crime is you raised. These are some of mine. The spaza shops, the zamazamas, breeding mixed race kids in an effort to destroy race as a construct is something I'd like us to talk about. The importance of guns as well, or just weapons for what we're about to embark
Gotta
on.
have guns.
And then
This is a family podcast, so I'd pull mine out now.
this is a family podcast after fuck and shit and motherfuckers.
Shit, motherfucker. No, I'm joking. Angipata. Lucky this isn't live. Because you'd never catch me lacking, my son.
Stay strapped, homie.
Yes. And what I'll say, because I do get a lot of questions about it on Twitter, I would advise anybody of age, if you are a law-abiding citizen, go and apply for your firearm competency
That if
and
is very
your gun
important.
license.
That if is very important.
Yeah, no. Well, if you're in Kabi,
If you're
I
a
mean,
good
you can
person.
just buy one at the hostel. But I mean, if you're a good person and you want to protect your family and yourself, you carry a firearm. You train with that firearm. You learn how to shoot. And when the time comes, you'll know what to do. Anytime we are victims of crime in South Africa, it's an us or them situation.
Get the strap.
Get the strap.
50 Cent.
Get the
Takashi
strap.
6ix9ine.
Learn how to
Casanova.
shoot.
Get the strap.
Yes. Take their life
Not to
before
always
they
strapped,
take
yeah,
yours.
Birdman, no Lil Wayne. Not always strapped. That's
Yeah.
a bit soft. Get the
Because-
strap. 50 Cent. Takashi 6ix9ine.
Get the
Casanova.
strap.
That's what's up.
Hard to kill.
And then in closing, people like you and I, no, let me start here. I'm going to try and accelerate accepting that the bulk of our country, at least this country, and the rest of the world are zombies. Brainless zombies that will go with whatever narrative the people at the top push. They'll go with it. Whether it's apartheid, it'll always take a small group of people to decide to go against the incumbents, to
100%.
shift the narrative. And then everyone will buy in and pretend like Abo Errol Musk on Podcast and Chill. I didn't really support apartheid, but I was chilling with ministers. Like say, Taimala Musk, shut up. Unamanga.
But nah, that Bali, he rides that wave of being Elon's timer, but Elon doesn't ride the wave of being his son.
No, he doesn't.
Let's put it that way.
There's a story there that's missing that I hope one day we hear. Because what I found interesting is the way Elon Musk speaks about his dad. I know now we're wasting time. The way Elon Musk speaks about his dad and how his dad was abusive and how he was not the greatest timer and how his dad's story doesn't really add up is similar now to like one of Elon Musk's kids speaking about Elon, his daughter.
Xavier.
That she doesn't want to be with the timer. I
The
think
one that changed genders.
changed genders. One of the moms was like, Elon has got a God complex. He thinks he fucking rules the world. Everything is on his terms. I'm like, there's a father and son thing here. And even smashing people and breeding babies. Like father, like son in some regards.
This is my
somewhere.
thing. And I don't know Elon personally, but I would like to vouch for the guy because what I'll say is when people are disgruntled, an ex-wife, not credible information for me. You were Elon Musk's son and you decided to change genders. You have no credibility in my
How?
eyes. No credibility.
Let's stop there.
Because he doesn't support it. You see, it's a different thing if he was supportive of her transition.
Sure.
They were still bras like Magic Johnson's son.
Sure.
And then you come out and say, hey, dude, you think you know that guy? Unje.
Sure.
But where it's like, he didn't support what you were doing from the word go.
Sure.
And was fooled into going along with the decision you were making because they told him if he doesn't, you're going to kill yourself. And now you want to turn around and say, you understand? Then it's like,
There are many things I don't know. Anyways,
and if you were worth that type of money, my son, let me tell you something. He's fucking around 9 kids. Me, I'd have fucking 90 kids. I'd have
Jesus
bitches in and out.
Christ.
I would import.
This is why you don't have money.
I would go straight to Leon
Import.
Schreiber and I would tell him, no stress, my brother. I will asylum seek all those Ukrainian bitches with blonde hair and blue eyes. They can come stay at my house. I would build a massive compound and I would impregnate all of them. This is
guy
why
must
I
never
shouldn't
fucking
be
have
in
money.
charge.
and yes, my question is going there. So I believe most of the population are just brainless zombies. They'll go with whatever narrative. And it's for some of us to challenge the status quo, whether we do it through an ANC at some point, a PAC, whether we threw it through a EFF at some point, and today Konvo Sizwe Party becomes the vehicle that seems for people that want to change the status quo. Whether you want to join BRICS, whatever it is.
Why can't we do it through an MK?
No, I'm not saying we can't.
Oh,
I'm just saying that's the latest vehicle. I think there's always a vehicle that is against the resistance.
Short.
The whatever they called in the Matrix, Abo Neo, Nabo, Lawrence Fishburne. The guys that are fighting against
Morpheus.
Morpheus. So those are the resistance. Those are the guys. EMK is the face. It was the EFF just now and then very quickly lost flavor. What are guys like you and I are meant to be doing? Because I don't think, listening to you, that we're only meant to be podcasting and just sharing knowledge, number one.
I was going to say.
Number two is, what do ordinary people that are listening to us like the vibe? And we're telling them voting doesn't really mean fuck all, to be fully honest, because we've seen it. ANC went down. Most people that were meant to vote did not vote already, but we're calling this a democracy. So if they're not going to vote, or even if they do vote, what activism can they partake in? And outside of them, what are we supposed to be doing to also make their lives easier, to shift the narrative so that, knowing that South Africa was created like every other country, it's not a real thing. But as long as we see this as our country, as our nation, trying to get the type of leaders that actually prioritize the people living in this fucking place instead of the people that are profiting from this place.
What do we need to do?
What do we need to do? What does the ordinary citizen who likes the flavor?
I think, like you mentioned earlier, I must never get money because I'll be...
Homo, sorry, I don't know if you've been checking this camera. It's good, thanks, sir.
Not to say I must never get money. It's that the first thing we need, I honestly believe, because the people that wield the power, that's the one thing they all have. They have money. Okay? But before we get there, and because we can't get there now, we have to do what we can. And we are doing what we can. We need to keep having conversations about it. There is a overarching style that everybody has where they don't even talk about it. They know about it. You know what I mean?
They're scared.
They're scared to talk about it. And if they're not scared, it's not important enough to them because they're so high up, like a Trevor Noah. If he had to have a podcast where he talks about shit like this, he'd have a lot more impact than you and me.
Yeah.
But he won't. And it's not, I don't think, let me not say it's because he's scared. I don't know if he's scared or not. But I know that, why should he? He's worth a couple of 100 bars, bro. He doesn't give a fuck. I believe that they get to a level, you get to a don't give a fuck level on a fuck you money level, where the people who should be having the conversations, or we wish we're having more of them, aren't, because they don't care enough. They are not part of the underclass, and they are not part of the people who actually need government to be credible so that they can have better lives. You know what I mean? I always make that example when people say the the Western Cape is a well-run province. I say, no, it's not. It's well-run for the people who already have money. If you had to take the DA away, those people will be perfectly fine. They'll have PPA protecting them, so no one's going to touch them from a crime perspective. And they'll be living in the fucking 300 million rand mansions that they live in now on the Atlantic seaboard. But the people in Khayelitsha, Gugulethu, the Cape Flats, they'll still be fucked. DA or no, they fucked with the DA there and they'll be fucked with the DA gone. So I'm not convinced by that argument. But I think us sitting down and having these conversations about it, for those who listen, the internet is beautiful. It'll exist on there for the foreseeable future and people can go and revisit those conversations. It's that until then, this is all we can do. We can't unseat people.
Can we not?
We can't, bro.
Really?
This is my philosophy on voting. America just completed an election in which Kamala Harris is currently, her vote count is increasing 10, 15 days after the election. At these tranches of votes come in, where 20,000 ballots are dropped off, 18,400 for Kamala and 1,600 for Trump, 10 days after the election. That's nonsense. Anyone who believes that is a fucking idiot. They're stealing the election. That's what I believe. The other thing is, every state that she won in, there's no voter ID required. Anyone can vote. What the fuck? How are you supposed to have a free and fair election with no voter ID? Now, at least here we have ID and checks, and now I believe our system is quite secure. It's just that I believe, and this is going to be controversial, I don't care what anyone says, I don't think everyone's vote should count one. I think that some people's vote should count more. People who have more of a vested interest in when shit goes wrong here. You know, if Eskom starts load shedding at stage 6, there are business owners who contribute massively to the fiscus. That's vote counts 1. When this parastatal contributes massively to their ability to conduct their business, that person's vote should count more.
Sure.
You understand? Businesses should be able to vote. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't just be everybody's vote counts 1. Now me, as Adrian Gore, what's that Bali's name? The Discovery Bali. Adrian Gore. Why does Adrian Gore's vote count the same as my cousin Aziz, who's sitting in fucking Sun City prison? The fuck? No. Aziz is there because he's a murderer. You understand what I'm saying? It shouldn't be the same. His vote shouldn't even count the same as Warras's vote. But mine should count more than my cousin in Sun City prison. Now everyone's counts 1. Because the prisoner is voting so that his life in jail can remain as his life in jail. I don't agree. I might come through with an El Salvador approach. In fact, I will. I think that the El Salvador guy just fucking shut the game down. Just launch them on all these motherfuckers and shut the shit down now.
And Nayib Bukele.
That's it. You know, Bobbé vibes. Like Brazil. That's what we need here. But I'm not in charge. You know what I'm saying? And neither is Adrian Gore. But he has more of a vested interest in the success of this country and in the proper governance of this country than a prisoner in Sun City. So with the voting thing, it's not going to change as long as everybody's vote counts 1, because we're not all voting for the same reason.
Sure.
And I spoke to you about this before. I don't cast my vote for myself. I live in Hyde Park. My life is nice. I cast my vote because I hope that change will be made for Umatauzen there. That really depends on government to improve his life,
Sure.
You know? And until that changes, I don't think we're going to, the whole democracy scam.
You and I can't do anything until we have money. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, my friend. We'll need the money.
How much money? Patrice has got money?
No.
Do you think he can
we'll need enough money to launch a movement that can amplify this conversation that we have.
Like Umkhonto says.
Yeah, how much money must we take to Umkhonto Wesizwe to say, guys, stop with this Floyd. Everyone, let us also make some decisions. We can't just land at Umkhonto Wesizwe and say we're taking the place of people that they've headhunted because they believe that those people are going to take forward better policy. I might not agree with all of their ideas. Do you understand? But if I had the money and the power that I'm talking about, the first place I'd actually go is I'd go straight to Isilu. I'd go to the Zulu King.
Yeah.
And I'd say to him, I think I have a plan for you for the Ingonyama Trust.
Do you think he'd listen? Do you think do you think he has power?
He has power, definitely.
He's not in charge.
Who?
Mr.
No,
Zulu.
no, he has power and he is in charge. But I
I
don't
believe he has power.
I do believe he has power because of the
Do you think
position that
Mr.
he
Zulu
holds.
could, for example, say we are now going to change to the English kingdom and no longer the Zulu kingdom, and they'd listen to him?
Yeah, but
Or
he
are
would
now
never
going to
do
change
that.
the dress code?
What I'm saying
No,
is,
I'm just making an example of how much power he has.
Wait, the power that he has, I'm saying he can make it. He can make a decision to say we are doing this now with the Ingonyama Trust, 700,000 hectares
As
of
an individual.
arable land. He can, of course. He's the
I don't
custodian
believe
of
that.
it, brother.
I
He's
don't
in
care
charge.
about custodian. Cyril
Yeah,
is the
but-
custodian of South Africa.
Cyril is the custodian of South Africa, yes, but Cyril is beholden to
You don't think the king of the Zulus is beholden?
who?
To whichever stakeholders benefit from him sitting on that throne regarding the land and the resources and stability of you problematic Zulus.
Maybe he is, but I'd be lying if I've seen any evidence of it to the degree that what I'm telling him, what I would suggest he do, won't happen. Whereas if I have to go sit with Cyril and say, Cyril, please, let's cut off this entire green energy thing and let's pump the coal, I don't think he'll agree with me.
Do you think the Zulu king has that type of power?
He does have that type of power over the things that he has dominion over.
Yes, but things like power, schooling,
No, I don't think
the
he-
land, who mines the land,
What do you
who
mean
works the land?
schooling with what in
To
school?
change the type of schooling in KZN
Two?
or in KwaZulu at least, just to implement something. One Phala-Phala. We want to have isiZulu schools where they don't teach in English.
Does he have power to make that happen?
Yes.
Well, if he says that's what he wants,
You believe so?
they'll listen to him at least. I don't know if they'd make that decision. I don't know if schools, do they want to learn in isiZulu?
Okay. No worries.
You know, last Pumakon, you remember Estates, the school in Freiheit?
Sure.
They had the medium of instruction was Zulu
Is it?
and English.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Zulu and English. But
So we need money.
the kids who are lazy wanted to learn in Zulu. The kids who wanted to
money.
excel. We need money, bro. But
We
like
can't
when I
do
say
any-
money,
we
I
can't do
also don't
anything but
believe...
chat.
The first thing you and I are going to do if we get that money, well, me, if I get money, I don't mean money for myself so I can go buy Lamborghinis. I mean money in terms of you need the backing so that you can create a movement that a lot of these current ones that are the custodians and the MKs and the EFS, there's a lot of shit that they're not doing that they should be doing.
So
And
let's
they've
go.
got the
Let's go
money.
sit with the guys at BRICS. Maybe we can do that.
The BRICS guys we can go to.
And let's
We
go
can-
to the Middle East.
100%. If
So we can do that.
Brother, we can do that. But I can't tell you the plan now because then everyone will know it.
No, of course.
Yes. And you know, a lot of the time, a lot of the plans, all of these NGOs and human rights places, they'll have a serious problem with me when I get in charge there.
Sure.
Because if I was dealing with the Zama Zama thing in the Mkoti there, no one's coming out. We don't even have to get that far. Come out, get arrested, Luto. We dynamite that whole thing's Valum Koti. I think it's called Operation
Valum Koti.
Siyayivala ke thina. Phethe ngabo. Then we vala them Mkoti, number one. And number two, why are we entertaining the criminals that we already know have a reputation for XYZ? And all the shit the media throws at us where they're like, oh, the wife of Penuel who's been underground said he went there because poverty. No.
On that note of Valom Koti, let's vala this conversation.
Yeah, we are valing.
Warras, thanks for coming through, bro.
a
Please
pleasure,
travel
my
safely
friend.
home.
Say thanks for coming through again so I can post a preemptive strike.
Like I said, we're busy shooting. This is so unprofessional.
We are
but
shooting and
This
I'm
is,
also
this, is,
shooting.
this, is, this is what happens when you invite Amakalati that don't want to be Amakalati.
Angithatha ikhala, ngitshelile.
It's the white and the black inside fighting.
Boom. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for having me as always. I love our chats.
Thanks, Holmes.
Yes, we must have a part two. Except, did you write down what must happen on part two?
But to the
We need an agenda here. And shout out Apartheid for the Nkomish, bro. This is the
Shout out to Apartheid for the Nkomish.
the legacy of Apartheid.